What's up, guys? What is up? It is live. We are here, and it's about a couple minutes till 1 p.m. Turn that down. We have not moved our spot. Thank God we have not moved our spot. Everyone has been slowly moving in, but I went and I did a video after the live. We need to go grab something to eat, but you know, getting a video was more important, and getting that taken care of. Nick was doing editing, but and then I spoke with a young cat that has lived down the street from the racetrack since he was a little kid, and he told me a story. So I got a little bit of that on film. It was a little rough because I had the camera in my hand and I hit record and was not paying attention to the record. So definitely I'm going to try to fix that, or maybe talk to him a little bit later. But we are now waiting. We got 2 minutes, guys. We got 2 minutes. Hopefully we can get some people in. We got 2 minutes until showtime. And they said that, look at this person. Look, over there. Holding their, so it doesn't blow. Let me turn this around real quick. Nope, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. Are we even live? Because we don't even have anybody in here. That's crazy. Yeah. Alright, so we are live. But I'll tell you, if we can't hit 35, we'll just end it and go. Alright, we see 4. That's great. Man, YouTube is a joke. Because I know 4 people just did not just jump on right then. It showed me 0 for the whole time. It's insane. YouTube is unbelievable. Yes, Jimbo, what up, what up? We are live. We are live. Same spot, same location. Did a recording a little bit earlier. Like I was saying, I spoke to a young kid that was down by the racetrack his whole life. Grew up right down the street from the racetrack. And what he said was, ever since they put up a road, or I guess I should say a paved road, it has been hell since then. So, and he goes to all the races. So he said there's a race coming up. So Jimbo, you need to let me know when the next race is. We will definitely like to go hit up a race. Try to live stream it. But, you know, he is a YouTuber, guys. cleetusmcfarland with Freedom Factory. And they are here arguing a home developing, yes, that's it, December 22nd, perfect. So they're arguing a community of homes coming in, 4,500 homes coming in right next door to the racetrack, and they are in this building right here. Cannot bring the film in, cannot go live stream in there, but we will be restreaming it. Here we go.
Okay, welcome back, everyone.
Boom, boom.
We're continuing with our land use meeting, and we're moving on to item number 27, which is an advertised public hearing presentation scheduled. It's a legislative item, and we're going to hold 27. Just 27. Yeah, okay, it's just item 27. So we will hold item 27 now. Mrs. DePaul is not here.
Oh.
Sorry, Ms. Shank. Ms. Shank, would you mind reading the item into the record, and then we'll go to the applicant.
Okay, yes, Mr. Chairman. This is Compass Plan, Map and Text Amendment, PA 2109, Ordinance 2311, SMR Taylor Ranch LLC, Large Scale Compass Plan Map and Text Amendment. This is legislative public hearing. It's privately initiated large scale Compass Plan Map Amendment to change the future lands classification of 2,307.57 acres located generally at the southeast corner of SR 64 East and Burnside Boulevard, at 18900 SR 64 East Bradenton, Manatee County, from AG-R agricultural rural to the UF3 urban fringe 3 future lands classification. Additionally, there's a specific property development condition in the form of a text amendment to limit the density maximum potential to 1.95 dwelling units per acre, maximum 4,500 units. And I did have a procedural comment that because this comes as a plan amendment, this is only the transmittal public hearing. Even if the board votes to transmit, it does not mean it's approved. It goes to the state planning agencies for review and comment, and it comes back here, and the adoption public hearing is held several months later. So I just want to clarify that.
Thank you, ma'am. So this is simply the transmittal, commissioners. There will be another vote for adoption at a later date, a couple months from now, after it returns from the state. Who is here to represent the applicant?
Kyle Grimes and Katie Labar.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Again, Kyle Grimes. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Grimes Galvano, and I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, LWR Communities LLC, which is a subsidiary of Schrader Manatee Ranch and the master developer of the Lakewood Ranch community. With me today, we do have representatives from SMR, as well as our development team from Stantec and Ardura. And we also have the current property owner, Mr. Jay Taylor, here as well. As Ms. Shank said, we are here today for the transmittal hearing of a large-scale comprehensive plan map amendment of an approximately 2,300 acre parcel from agriculture to urban fringe 3 future land use category. This property is located directly east of the existing Lake Bridge community, adjacent to Bourneside Boulevard, just south of State Road 64. And before Ms. Labar comes up and gives a little more of the specifics on today's request, I want to just go through a brief recap and history of what it is that has allowed us to come before you today with this application, as the property is located east of the future development area boundary. Last year, after a lot of planning and a lot of working with your staff, we brought before this board a comprehensive plan text amendment that would allow development east of the future development area boundary under very strict conditions. And when we presented that application for the text amendment, although it wasn't limited to any particular property, we did always present it that the property we're talking about today would come forward under that new policy. And so we did present that. It's always been the plan for this property. And that text amendment was approved by the board in November of 2021 and codified primarily in Comprehensive Plan Policy 2.1.2.8. And as I mentioned, that policy does set out a lot of requirements for what type of property can be developed under it. And that includes that the area to be developed must be coterminous and contiguous with the FDAB line or existing development, that it is a continuation of existing suburban development from west to east, that it will be developed under a single master developer that will be responsible for the infrastructure improvements, that it must be served by a thoroughfare roadway with any needed extension beyond the FDAB line, anything required for access, things like that, to be constructed by and at the cost of that master developer or stewardship district that serves the property. And lastly, that it must utilize Manatee County utilities like potable and sanitary sewer, again with any extension needed to serve the property or any enhancements needed to that system to be completed by and at the cost of the developer or stewardship district. Under this new comprehensive plan policy, there is a 3-step implementation process for properties that would like to be developed under it. And the first is to pursue a comprehensive plan future land use change to urban fringe 3. And that's exactly what we have before you today. It's a request to amend the future land use category of this property to UF3. Also, as you would have seen in your package, we do also have a minor text amendment associated with this application. And that's to put forward what we call the D5 limitations. And what that does is it caps the maximum density of this property below what would otherwise be permitted under the UF3 future land use. Here we're capping that at 4,500 units. Under UF3 for this property, it would have otherwise been about 6,900, give or take. And also, so today, since Planning Commission, we've drafted up some additional language that we are proposing for this D5 limitation. And that's to provide requirements for a substantial screening buffer at the northeast corner of the property. During Planning Commission and in a few public comment emails since then, it's been raised that there's some concerns regarding the existing racetrack. And that is something that our client has always been aware of. The existence of that racetrack, has always taken careful steps to plan the project accordingly so that we can ensure there are protections that both can coexist moving forward. And one of the ways we do that is through the plan development process, where we establish these screening buffers. And that is usually, as we go forward into the rezone and plan or general development plan. But we felt that, given the concern about this, that we wanted to put something in the comp plan text up front that shows, yes, we not only have we been planning for a long time to provide these buffers, but we want to put a level of assurance in the comp plan that it will be done. And so, as you see on your screen, and we have some handouts that we've given to the clerk, we are proposing the additional language underlined there that requires a buffer of a width that significantly exceeds what would otherwise be required by code. It's a little over 3 times as wide. Also, it requires that you have a berm wall combination of 20 to 25 feet in that northeast corner where the racetrack is off the property. And so we've wanted to be very careful with the planning of this property that, we want the racetrack to continue. We want everything to coexist, and our client has never had any problem with it and wants to see it go forward as well. And we feel that with the appropriate buffering, these two can coexist. And so the second step in the implementation process will be a rezone to plan development residential.
They don't believe it.
And during those initial hearings on the text amendment last year, it was always contemplated that these two would come to the county concurrently so that you could really get a good look at what the property will look like moving forward before you make a decision on the future land use change. And so we have done that. We have submitted, and the county staff has reviewed the rezone and general development plan, and that will come before Planning Commission next month. And then when this comes back for an adoption hearing, the two will come together. So you'll really get a good picture of the project moving forward. And so as Katie walks through some of the specifics, she may touch a little bit on some of those aspects.
Why?
And then the last implementation step is to come forward with a local development agreement. And that's going to set the parameters for the extension of utilities, the extension of thoroughfare roadways, here specifically Rangeland and 44th, that will be extended through the property, as well as addressing things that are often in LDAs like off-site mitigation improvements to transportation and things of that nature. We did have an initial meeting with your Public Works and Utility staff on that LDA to talk about the basic parameters, and we intend to have a draft ready for initial review by staff in the very near future. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Katie Labar to provide a little more specifics on today's request.
Thank you, Kyle.
How's the picture,
Good afternoon,
guys?
Commissioners. My name is Katie Labar. I am an AICP certified planner with Stantec. I'm here today representing SMR Taylor Ranch, LLC. As Kyle said, the site is located east of and adjacent to Bourneside Boulevard, south of State Road 64, east of County Road 62 in eastern Manatee County. The request that's before you for consideration today is the transmittal of a large-scale comprehensive plan map amendment for approximately 2,307 acres from the agricultural rural future land use category to urban fringe 3 dwelling units per acre. Kyle shared the history of the site and walked through our proposed D5 provisions that will address the limitation for maximum density to 4,500 units. And he's also shared a lot of the details regarding a proposed buffering provision to the northern and eastern property lines. And so I'm not going to rehash those details, but this map on the screen does show the existing land use category and what is proposed with today's amendment. The site is currently zoned general agriculture, and as he said, consistent with the provisions of the comprehensive plan, it is our intention to bring forward a rezone of this property to planned development residential following the consideration of this comprehensive plan amendment. With that rezone will be a general development plan that will set forth development parameters for the site. Development directly west of this site has been tremendous over the last several years. I think that we can all confidently say that the comprehensive plan is being implemented. We see that with several recent approvals nearby, and several examples include the community of Azario, Star Farms, Sweetwater at Lakewood Ranch, and Lorraine Lakes. The market response to this type of planning has been extraordinarily positive. Lakewood Ranch is the best-selling community in the United States for all ages, and it has been for several years now. I've already noted the significant investment in the provision of gray infrastructure that this community has provided through the provision of, the Lakewood Ranch has provided in this area of the county, in partnership with the county, through the provision of gray infrastructure like extension of roadways. We think of 44th Avenue East, Rangeland Parkway, E-Line Road, Bourneside Boulevard, as well as all of the utilities that have been extended. This area of the county also, though, has several community assets, community infrastructure, things that you need in order for a community to thrive and grow and be complete. Things like public safety facilities, schools, and park sites. And you have all of those things in what we will be bringing forward in the next step. But you also have them in the community today, and they are planned for. There's a fire station planned at the corner, at the southwest corner of Bourneside Boulevard and State Road 64, for example. A future elementary school site will be provided within Taylor Ranch on the north side of 44th Avenue. A middle school site is planned just south of State Road 64 behind the proposed mixed-use development that you see in pink on the screen. And then a new high school is also planned just north of State Road 70 near the East County Facilities Premier Park in that general vicinity. So we take the retail, commercial, and office uses that exist, we consider the parks and community services that are nearby, and we see that Taylor Ranch will fit beautifully into the fabric of the broader context of Lakewood Ranch. The key elements that shape a community are in place, and they're planned for, and they will come, and they will be wonderful. The general development plan that's coming before you in February depicts, like I said, the extension of 44th Avenue and Rangeland Parkway to the eastern limits of the property. The site plan shows 16 parcels of varying sizes and indicates the types of uses as well as the number of units that will be proposed within each parcel. The plan provides for general concept of internal site circulation, internal roadway, and perimeter buffer provisions, and those items are clearly shown and depicted on the plan. The general development plan and development order will also include specific conditions of approval to specifically address the notice to buyers for nearby uses, and it will also memorial in even greater detail proposed buffering requirements that will promote compatibility with the adjacent uses. We look forward to sharing these details with you in February, and think that you will find that the improvements that will be made to this property will be something that Manatee County can be proud of for years to come. Struggling with the clicker. With the recent comprehensive plan amendments, development is permitted to occur out in limited and certain circumstances outside of the future development area boundary. This property may be allowed a maximum density of 3 units per acre because it's adjacent to an existing suburban mixed-use development that includes residential and non-residential uses, as well as schools and other public facilities. So we can demonstrate that we are in compliance with policy 2.1.2.30. Policy 2.1.2.7 guides the review of proposed development so that compatibility can be assured and appropriate timing is considered. Several of these considerations have been covered both in this presentation and in the materials that were submitted for review by your staff. Development patterns certainly support the development of Taylor Ranch as infrastructure, like I said, gray and community exist to support the development of this site. The density and intensity are limited to 4,500 residential units to ensure compatibility. And native habitats will be preserved, and transitions between land uses, like I said, will be memorialized and shown on future site plans. As Kyle said earlier, this amendment is the implementation of recent approvals of policy 2.1.2.8. Taylor Ranch is contiguous and coterminous to existing development to the west, which is a suburban development pattern. Taylor Ranch will be a seamless continuation of existing development patterns that's seen west of Morningside Boulevard. The entire site is within the Lakewood Ranch Stewardship District, and so any improvements to infrastructure and roadways will be, any costs associated with those improvements will be borne by the master developer. Those costs will not be borne by local government. The site currently has direct access to major thoroughfares with Morningside Boulevard. Thoroughfares like 44th and Morningside, 44th and Rangeland are going to be extended with the development consistent with the general development plan. Those roadway extensions are shown on the GDP to the eastern property line. As I said earlier, any capacity whether it's roadway or range, will be the responsibility of the master developer, consistent within these policies.
Hopefully you guys can hear it.
It is my professional opinion this application is in full compliance with the requirements of the comprehensive plan and the land development.
I wish I could turn it up.
To transmit, we're asking for you to transmit this application to the Department of Economic Opportunity so that they and other state agencies can take the information and consider it and present to this elected body recommendations from your state agency. UF3, Urban Bridge 3, is compatible with development in this area. It is a logical continuation of the development pattern that we see in this part of the county. The D5 provision that we've talked about with the changes that we presented today will not only establish a max density of 4,500 residential units for the whole project, but it also provides clarity regarding minimum requirements for buffering along the northeastern portions of the site so that compatibility will be achieved and uses can coexist. I have a large team of experts here, and we are happy to answer any specific questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'd stay there, we have a couple commissioners on the board for questions. Start with Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, my first question is about the 1.95 maximum dwelling units you're proposing. Is that going to, that's going to be formally in the comp? This isn't one of these things that we see all the time where instead of ripping off a Band-Aid, we take small little bites until we eat the whole elephant. It's going to stay 1.95. Is that 1.95 based on UF3, and then 6 months from now somebody's going to come for R9, and then eliminates the 1.95? We see this. This 1.95 is permanent on this site once this comp plan is transferred.
Yes, we have that straight into the comprehensive plan petition. It's 4,500 units, 1.95. So it's text amendment. So that is written in stone. It cannot change from the zoning. that's why we're here today. It's the process, but it is set as far as once the comprehensive plan amendment is approved, you're into rezone. You can't change it that way. You have to come back to the process.
Second, I appreciate the attempt at the buffers here. Do you feel these are going to be adequate buffers considering what you're buffering for? This speedway obviously has light, it has noise, it has traffic, it operates late into the night, and it intends to continue to do so. Do you believe this buffer is going to be adequate with the development plan? Or are you going to have all of the residents of this area, or at least a portion of it, sign up to first, acknowledging that this racetrack is
So when we landed on these numbers, and these are the minimums, we go up a little higher, and of course there will be vegetative screening as well that helps a lot with noise mitigation, the shade trees and things of that nature there as well. And our client landed on this was going through a noise study. They worked through a noise study and looked at regulations and things used in other circumstances that are similar, not exact, but like in highways and things like that, to analyze what would be an appropriate size buffer to mitigate the noise in the circumstance. So that was how our clients and the consultants came to those numbers and feel that it will be an appropriate buffer here. And then as we go through the rezone process, and we have talked with Dorothy about this, that we will have requirements for notice to owners that there is an adjacent use. I know I would absolutely suggest that have that anyways, because we always want to make sure everything is transparent. And what's nice here is that it is there, it is an established use, you can see it going forward, but we will have those in the documents for purchase of the homes and the notice to owners that this is an existing use.
So that's going to be incorporated, because just to let you know, and I've had Nicole and staff looking into this, we've been pulling the special permits that the racetrack currently has today and looking at the zoning they have, and once this is all set under the direction of the board, I'm going to direct staff before any general development plan comes back for you or for anything further east up here that's also in the pipeline to lock that down. We're going to look into all their special permits, all of their zoning, and make sure that their conforming use as well as potential expansions of their use within the range of their area is into perpetuity, and any complaints by homeowners are going to be at the acknowledgement that they bought a home next to a racetrack. And that's something we're going to do before it gets here. So I would encourage you to look into that when you do your general development plan, because there's going to be a racetrack in that location for all of our owners. We're going to make sure of it.
Okay, so I appreciate your enthusiasm. But you have to keep in mind that we are conducting a government meeting. It's not a sitcom. So while you are viewing the meeting, you're not active participants in the meeting. So please hold your applause and as well as say whatever else you think over.
Can you even hear it?
So the speaking order is Bearden, Van Austin Bridge, and Satcher. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I completely agree with Commissioner Cruz that there will always be a racetrack in that area. And I want to ensure this buffer that we're talking about today. How is this buffer essentially compared to one that's like on I-75? Is it similar, or is it going to be more intense?
It will be, I think, we'll have a higher berm in those areas with the wall on top with the vegetative screening, so it'll be comparable. But here, we're adding additional width to that buffer as well to allow for more plantings and things like that, which of course help with noise mitigation. As I said, when you use my presentation,
you hear more of the rain.
Those racetracks there,
You hear this? You don't have a
to try to affect them being operating.
Sorry guys about this, the rain is horrible.
We know it's there, we're going to buffer for it. We're going to put in all of these large and berm, and that's actually going to be put in place by the Lake Branch Stewardship District.
Oh, can you put it on here?
Stewardship District has committed to build that berm and vegetative plantings in the area.
sir. So, I'm pleased to see all these people in this room today. It's always good to show up.
Alright guys, bear with me.
Your cause is similar to a cause that I've been fighting. I represent the west side of town, the islands. And what you're afraid of is that it's established racetrack, it's established business and property could possibly be altered, ended. You know, it's basically it's under threat because this suburban sprawl is going to encroach upon it, and you're worried that a bunch of Karens are going to go around the racetrack, right? I mean, that's what you're worried about. And so, on my side of town, the battle that I'm fighting is that we have a beach, and we have like the most beautiful beaches in the world in this county, and they've always been free, and they've always been accessible to everyone in the public. They're owned by the county, which means every taxpayer in Manatee County owns the beach, and they pay to maintain the beach. So when Red Tide was out there for a few days, your tax dollars paid to clean the beach. And we have municipalities, one specifically,
Hold on, guys.
chose to eliminate on-street parking on the side streets leading to beach access. And this is relevant because, right, people bought on those streets, they knew the beach was there. It was no surprise to them that beaches were popular and that people like to go to the beach, and that people who can't afford to live on the island will drive their cars out there, park, and go to the beach. And now, lo and behold, we're fighting this battle with those cities out there because, to be honest, the island has become more and more affluent as property values have gone up, and there's higher expectations out there of sort of privacy, and I'll stop there so I don't go too far down the rabbit hole, but you get my point. I wish that more of you would show up to fight for your right to access beaches, right? But my point is that I completely understand where you're coming from. I'm fighting a very similar battle in my district to ensure public access to public beaches, and that doesn't change because essentially the neighborhood changed around it. And Myakka has less Karens per capita probably than Lakewood Ranch. No offense, Commissioner Baugh, who is the Lakewood Ranch representative. we tend to take shots. We tend to take shots at each other now and again. But so I do understand where you're coming from, and I support what Commissioner Cruz has said. Obviously, Lakewood Ranch, I have not chosen to live in Lakewood Ranch, but lots of people have, and and a lot of people have chosen to live there, and they love it. And Lakewood Ranch has generated an awful lot of economic activity for Manatee County, certainly driven up our property values, and it's created an awful lot of jobs in Manatee County. It's master planned. Traffic may not be great in a lot of areas of Manatee County, but when you're within the master plan community of Lakewood Ranch, actually traffic isn't bad at all. When you're in Lakewood Ranch, because it was planned out and built properly. They include schools, they include some commercial, they include a lot of things that you need to prevent people from driving all over across the county to access things they need. They try to keep it all pretty well centrally located. So Lakewood Ranch has been really a good partner, a great partner for the county, and they've become a great asset for the county. So I'm not going to vote against the project. However, I am going to partner with Commissioner Cruz in ensuring that protections are put in place to ensure that the DeSoto racetrack, where I went there when I was a kid, man. These are the sprints used to be out there and all the stuff. Anyway, my dad's friends like Pat and Annie and Johnny Shields, all these guys used to race out there, and we knew them. And so, anyway, I spent a lot of time out there when I was a kid, and so we want to ensure that continues. There's a tradition in this county, right? Not every county has a racetrack. It's pretty unique. So, at any rate, we want to ensure that continues because it is possible for the county to grow while at the same time we maintain the traditions and the culture of the county. I understand I don't want to see I-75 become 10 lanes, but it's likely to happen. But with the things that really get under my skin is when you change the name of McKechnie Field to Lecom. I mean, Lecom's lovely, but it's McKechnie my whole life, right? That's the kind of stuff that gets under my skin. It's always been McKechnie. It should always be McKechnie. That's not to just pick on Lecom, but that's the kind of thing that bothers me. Then you're changing the culture. I think it should still be the MCC Lancers. I don't like that they changed that either, but it is what it is. So I am going to partner with Commissioner Cruz to ensure that the DeSoto Speedway, which is probably not even called that anymore, but I think maybe it is, that it continues to operate. But at the same time, I am going to support this as well. And you're just going to have to ensure that the people who move in there understand that they're going to be living next to an operating racetrack. So, all right, Commissioner Satcher, Baugh, Ballard, Ron, and Bearden. Well, we've certainly inspired everyone, haven't we? Commissioner Satcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I mean, this part in our procedure or proceedings is supposed to be questions for the applicant. And so, you're proposing how much of a, okay. Still, proposing how much buffer?
So in that document we gave you, and we provided a little sketch to give an example, but it is an 84-foot minimum wide buffer on that eastern boundary, which is about, I think it would have otherwise been required to be about 20. So we're going to an 84-foot minimum buffer width on that eastern boundary, and it goes down to 72 just on the northern portion there, with a minimum, absolute minimum, 20-foot wall berm combination. That will range between 20 and 25 feet. And then we'll also have all the, your code has requirements for vegetative plantings, which not only will we meet, we're going to exceed that, because at the end of the day, our client wants to be able to sell homes here, and recognizing that this is an existing use and it's going to stay there, that they want to make sure they put in as much noise mitigation as possible. So,
I was just counting ceiling tiles, and this room's somewhere around 80 feet. I'm thinking maybe more, but minimum 80 feet counting ceiling tiles. So we're talking from one logo to the other, one Manatee County seal to the other, and you've got 2,500 acres full to deal with. Seems like you could have done, seems like we could do better than 80 feet with that. I mean, if this was all you had, the only property, there's no way to move things, there's no way to, and this is all someone comes to us and owns, then, we got to make a tough decision, because we don't want to take someone's property rights away. We don't want to make, something that they own worth less than it would otherwise be because of a regulation. But this seems like a unique situation where there's room to do a better job than 84 feet. So I'm not going to belabor that point, but I did want to at least get that out there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Baugh.
Yeah, Kyle, this is a tough one. And, we got a racetrack that's been there 51 years. I mean, I don't have to tell you all that. I know you know it. I live in Edgewater, which is right there at the intersection of University Parkway and Lakewood Ranch Boulevard. And I can tell you, when the wind is right, I hear the racing. Most of us in Lakewood Ranch, if the wind is right, you hear it. But we've chosen that, and we're okay with it, and, it's not a problem. In fact, I kind of like hearing it. Not that I'm a big racing fan, I'm not, but it just reminds me of that it's there. So my concern is not so much, I got a couple of concerns, but the racetrack has to be protected, and I'm going to totally support what Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Van Ostenbridge have said. We need to make sure that we put whatever precautions we possibly can to protect the racetrack. I mean, it goes without saying. My concern is, and I hear what you're saying about the buffing, and I appreciate it very much that y'all are, taking this extra step, but at the same time, nothing's going to stop the sound. I mean, I know better. I deal with just traffic on Lorraine Road, and I've dealt with it for every year I've been in office. The traffic on State Road 70 there at Greenbrook, I mean, I hear about it all the time. So I know you're not going to be able to stop the sound. And the closer you get to that racetrack, I've been there, the louder it really is. And I know that. So I have to ask, and maybe I've missed it, but you're looking at more of a professional buffer than just what I see on 75. Is that correct? I mean, the wall?
Yes.
I can tell you, I know that's not real effective. I mean, it helps. But
Yes, absolutely, Commissioner Ball. And with the buffer, to stop the noise, the best thing for it is to put things in its way more than just distance, but to put things like walls and, more importantly, the vegetation. And the stewardship district, I mean, they are committed to putting in a significant buffer here with not only the berm, but also the wall on top to getting to that 20 to 25 feet. Then having trees in there. Last I spoke with SMR, they're talking, 30-foot plus shade trees and things in there that are dense for to help assist with noise mitigation as well.
Okay. Do you know if SMR has looked into professional, with a professional engineer about the noise and so
They did have a noise study out there and did speak with them when they were working on this plan for the buffer.
Okay. I don't know that right now is probably the time to really, because I know this is just going to, we're going to transmit. But when it comes back, please know that I'm going to bring up, if this passes today, which I don't know if it will or not, but if it does, I can assure you that when it comes back, I'm going to want to ensure that the realtors, anybody that's selling homes in that area, in that development, has to get the people to sign a statement that they know the racetrack is there. Because I've dealt with this in Terra, and that's not even a racetrack, and y'all know, I know you know, Katie. The noise is always a problem, and every time somebody builds a new home, then they think they can just take out whatever's around that's bothering them and making too much noise. You see it all the time. And that's not going to happen here. We're not going to allow it to happen here. So please be aware and work with the racetrack as closely as you can, okay? Because my grandson will kill you if you don't, just so you know, okay? And he's 14. The other problem that I have is the urban service boundary. Obviously, that hurts me, okay? And I have made promises that we would not allow such a thing to take place. And I realize I've looked at this, and I know in my heart that the urban service boundary, in my opinion, some people aren't going to like what I'm about to say, but I think it probably needs to move to 675 and stop. Okay? It is not fair to the people, even though I don't really represent Mayaca anymore. I did for many years, 9 years to be exact. And, I love Mayaca. It's a beautiful place, and I think that it shows a diversity in this county that we need to make sure that we take care of and preserve. So, but I also know that we are in a growing mode, and I'm just one person, and we're not going to be able to stop it entirely. I get it. But we need to be very careful about what we're doing there. So I know that Lakewood Ranch, obviously I'm very involved in Lakewood Ranch. I've seen it grow, and I think it's a beautiful community, and I think SMR has done a fantastic job with it. But not everybody wants to be in Lakewood Ranch, and I get it. But we are growing. So it's kind of, you do the best you can to preserve what you can. And the racetrack definitely needs to be preserved. So, y'all have talked about that, and I guess you know where you need to put in, like, signing the forms, if you buy property there, that the racetrack's there. Y'all have done all that?
Yes, we've done those in the past in situations, and now between now and the final adoption hearing where the zoning ordinance will come before you, which sets out all those requirements. We can certainly talk more with your staff and your county attorney on provisions that we can.
I got to tell you, and this is all I'll say, and I'll continue with the hearing and listen. But you got a lot of neighbors here from Mayaca, a lot of people that I know, a lot of my friends that live in Mayaca, and they're very concerned. It's nothing against SMR. It's nothing against J.B. Taylor or any of that. It's their way of living. It's their way of life that they don't want to see disturbed, and I can't blame them for that. But I also feel that we need to find a way that we can kind of join together. And part of it is I looked on the meeting that you had with the residents, and you had, I think it said 16 people. Katie, you were there. I see it was basically your notes that I was reading. And there were a lot of concerns. Are you going to have any more special meetings with the residents? Or are you done now because it's here with us?
As of right now, we don't have plans to host another workshop. That's not been something that we've discussed with our client.
I'll tell you why.
Up to now.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I'm asking.
Sure.
I think it's imperative that both sides put forth an effort to come together as much as possible so that this can be done in a friendly way rather than, like I feel like we're going to be in the TV series Yellowstone or something. We've got to figure out a way that it works together. And so that's why I'm asking. And anything that you can do on that would be, I'm sure, appreciated by the neighbors that live a little bit further east of this property line. So
we'll take that request back to our client, and we'll have that conversation with them.
Oh, yeah,
and well, we will,
Okay.
and we'll discuss it. And if we're able to do that between now and the adoption hearing in February, we'll certainly.
yeah, I will tell you that, you know, I've dealt with SMR for years, and you know, they do a great job in Lakewood Ranch. I'm not as familiar with some of the members of the stewardship, but that's another story in itself, isn't it? So, you know, it's a concern that I have. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. The order is Ballard, Ron, Bearden, Satcher. Commissioner Ballard.
So I don't want to beat a dead horse. However, I am completely in agreement with Commissioner Cruz and some of the other commissioners where they've stated that we want to ensure that we're protecting the track, that we're making sure that those operations are able to go forward. I'm lucky enough to represent some of the older, more historic neighborhoods in Bradenton and Palmetto. We've got Elwood Park. We've got West Palmetto. We've got Braden Castle. And I do think that it's very important that as we grow, as we develop, we don't lose our character. We don't lose the things that make our community unique, that make our community special. And I do think that that's one of the reasons that we need to make sure that the track is protected. Also, like Commissioner Baugh, I do have some personal stake in this. My husband is a big fan of the track. I will also say that in addition to looking at everything that the track has in place and protecting that, we do also have exemptions in our current noise ordinance for emissions of sound and noises from lawful and proper activities at places primarily used for athletic contests and sporting events. So we do have that protection in place already as well in our municipal code. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for everyone coming out today. It's impressive to see when the citizens come out, and I apologize if I didn't get back to all 15,000 emails I received. But I actually have a technical question for the applicant, and I appreciate you coming in with buffers and trying to make a workable, livable situation here. My question is, and it might be come back in the rezone into GDP, but how close will the nearest home be, your best guesstimation, to where the track sits today?
I think it would be, what is it, 200, 300 feet at least.
Not to the track.
For the property line.
To the property line, but not to the track.
Yeah,
I mean, the track's
it'll
protected.
end up being around 100 feet for our property line, and the tract,
No, about 200 feet.
200 feet to our property line, and then from the property line to the tract, I think is another couple hundred feet. I can check that and answer that back.
Okay, so we know that you're saying from the property line. Okay.
300 feet.
300.
From the property line to the track, according to staff, is 300 feet. Plus, we'll have that 84-foot.
Plus the buffer, plus basically the houses aren't going to butt right up to the buffer.
Plus the rear yard
There's going to be some
setback,
spacing
so
there
we're
too, right? So
probably about 400 plus feet.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bearden.
I think this is more kind of based toward all the commissioners here. But I'd like us to look at possibly some extra protection measures for this track, and maybe seeing if it's maybe even labeling it a historic site. That might be an option for us in general, to where this site is always going to be protected. I think that's going to be a very important aspect as we go. And I would really like us to look into that, dive deep into that, and see if there's other options or extra measures we can do to protect this racetrack.
Commissioner Satcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, that brings up, this issue has already been alluded to. It brings up the issue of what can we do today that can't be done in 1 month or 1 year or 2 years, you know, when there's elections or retirements or whatever. And so that's what we have to look for. It's something that can't be undone. We have all the time in our briefings, we're hearing about somebody, you know, rock crushing that's been rock crushing for years and years and years, and no one complained. You know, people move in, and now here come the complaints, and we're talking about, you know, or we're getting pressure to change the rules for the people that are doing that. So in here it's the opposite, or anyway, I really have a question, and I know that you know, y'all do a good job, but you're employees, so you have to do what your employer's asking you to do, your client, I guess I should say. But I really am wondering, because I remember when we first passed 2 years ago, around 2 years ago, this text amendment first passed. I don't think it was a 7-0 vote. I don't think it was a 6-1 vote. You voted against it. I think I supported you when it comes before us over and over and over again, and they make adjustments over and over again. But when the first time it came before us, I thought it was a 3-4 vote. You know, or maybe whatever. It was early on, and the pressure's on when you first sit down to always go with the crowd. So who knows, maybe. But I thought that it was I'll say this, and I know this is accurate, it was a hotly debated matter. And then it makes me look at 84 feet and wonder if we're really even bargaining in good faith. Because here we have something that nobody was excited about, or very few on the board at the time were excited about, and then we have 3 new commissioners up here, but we're just assuming 84 feet where they're going to be having jet car rallies, right? They put jet engines on the back of these suckers, and which is awesome. Let's be honest, that's awesome. And we're giving them 84 feet. So it just makes me wonder if, and I know that those decisions might not even be made by you, but it makes me wonder if this was even done in good faith, because I think all the commissioners, or a lot of the commissioners here, are assuming it was. Just seems like we could have done better with what's coming before us today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think that the reason why I'm looking at these extra measures in place, because we were all elected to protect people's rights. We raised our right hand to defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
Amen.
Okay? And we have an obligation to protect all rights, okay, at all times. So that I want to make that real clear to everybody, that that's a whole purpose, and the primary role of an elected official is to protect people's rights. So I want to ensure that we look at different measures and different protections that we can do to protect this racetrack, just to ensure. And I think that, I don't know if that's going to take a workshop or whatever that may be, but it's something we definitely need to look into.
Commissioner Cruz.
I'm not going to debate this, nor am I fighting their battle, but I just want to point out, because I was curious when Commissioner Satcher was talking about this berm only being 84 feet, so I was looking at berms online, because why not? The recommended berm is 8 feet tall and 20 feet wide to protect for noise. This is 10 feet tall and 84 feet wide, so it does seem like a fairly substantial berm. Not that I have any context.
I don't know berms.
I don't pretend to be an expert on berms, but okay. All right. Commissioner Satcher.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Okay. Well, we seem to have concluded questions for the applicant. Is there a staff presentation on this item?
We have pretty quick presentations for all of
Do
these.
a pretty quick presentation.
We'll go down to positive and negative impacts.
Dorothy can get right down to business.
Come on, Dorothy. Yes, that's about all I have to add. They've covered everything so thoroughly, and even the positives and negatives were brought up at some point during this whole.
Dorothy, could you pull your mic down?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we were not able to hear you.
Okay, so this is legislative, but I'm Dorothy Rainey for staff. And I guess I've
Is there anything you feel you want to add that's
yeah, like
something
I
we
said,
haven't heard?
just to go over the positives, negatives, and
Sure.
mitigating, yeah, because everything else was covered. So basically, the request to amend the future land use to UF3 appears to be a logical transition, given the emerging development trends in the area, specifically as the county goes from agriculture to suburban residential development. And then another positive is that since the project abuts large projects to the west that have already established and extended infrastructure, including roadways and utilities, these improvements will be available to utilize to supply the project with these services. Negatives, there are existing platted large lots, 5 to 10 acres south of the project within the Pomelo Park, over 100-year-old plat, I believe, platted subdivision, that are much lower density than the proposed project may establish. And also the UF3, Urban Fringe 3 category allows for up to 6,923 dwelling units for an increase in density of 6,461. Mitigating, there's going to be adequate buffering, landscaping, and design that should provide a transition between the future development of the site and the adjacent residential areas. And then as the applicant explained, they've proffered a D5 provision, which is the text amendment portion of this application, which will place a limit on number of dwelling units to 4,500 or a density of 1.95 dwelling units per acre. And that'll keep the density more in line with the existing projects to the west. And that's really all I have to add. I guess if you have questions for me.
Thank you, Dorothy.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Satcher is on the board, and Commissioner Cruz. Oh, Mrs. Knapp.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Nicole Knapp, Comprehensive Planning Division Manager. I just wanted to add a side note. I know Commissioner Cruz said he was going to make a motion maybe at the end to direct staff, but just for awareness, the racetrack is in a future land use designation that allows for all types of recreation, no matter how intense it is. And then their zoning district requires it by special permit. However, they predate our code, and in 1989, they received what was called a special exemption number 447, which memorialized the racetrack for how it was and under certain limitations and stipulations. So staff can prepare an AD, an administrative determination next week, that kind of memorializes that, more up to date than just the document we have from 1989, and cross-references our current code and how they can legally continue to operate and under what circumstances they would have to get an amended SP, if you will, special permit, if they were to grow.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually, I think.
And just to be clear, the special permit you're referring to did allow for additional expansion over the course of, what was that, 1,000 square feet per 3 years or something that we can look into?
The current code allows for 1,000 square feet every 3 years by right, administratively approved.
Thank you, ma'am. She's one of the smarter people in the building. That's why we pay you the big bucks.
That's why I went to Nicole before lunch and asked her to look this up for me.
Yeah, appreciate that. Commissioner Baugh, I do have a board order here. Commissioner, it's Cruz, Satcher, and Baugh. Commissioner Cruz?
Mine was literally asking Nicole to come up and present what we discussed.
We appreciate your efficiency. Commissioner Satcher?
Thank you. I think we might end up here a while, so if that is in the, if that's in the agenda packet, that'd be great. If not, I'd love a hard copy of that 1989.
It's not, because I found it on my lunch break.
Found it during lunch. Okay, I think we'd all probably appreciate a copy of that.
I can email it to all commissioners right now.
Yeah, because, I mean, we'll see what.
Please also email it to the clerk.
Yes.
Yes.
And so then you've been working together with Commissioner Cruz for thoughts moving forward, or when he mentioned that today, that was the first time?
No, he just right before the break asked me if there's anything in our code today that would speak to this situation. And so that's what I did on my lunch break.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah, just real quick. I don't want to hear any knocking lazy county employees, by the way. Here she is on her lunch break. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm just, I guess since it's legislative and we can just, go wherever we want, but I'm amazed that we had from what I can tell, a complete smoke and mirrors, because every action that I heard proposed by Commissioner Cruz, I'm pretty sure can be undone by a commission in the future very easily. And I propose one thing that's workable, which is the buffer that they're allowed to build on to increase it. And then a 10-foot, it's not an 84-foot tall berm, it's an 84-foot wide space in the midst of 2,500 acres. Quite an expanse. And then you're going to call me out that that's unreasonable when I offered a real solution that might help somebody. Whereas yours, I know we'll go down that road. We'll pass those things. And I hope we can come up with something that will, work in the future beyond this if people disagree with this in the future. But the fact you sat there and took applause for your proposal and then downed mine that from experience is workable blows my mind. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Ball.
You know what? Nicole, my question was just, I want to make sure that in no way, whatever we have on the books now, if we need to add more, whatever we need to do, I also want to make sure that this racetrack in the future is not hindered in any way for growth. And I know you said that they have other activities that they can do. I get it. But I want to make sure they're totally covered so that no way in the future a board can come along and change anything. It needs to be written in stone. Can you help us with that? Please.
In essence, once you receive a special permit, it memorializes what use is being approved on your property, including usually an approved site plan, which this has. Given it's 1989, it's not the quality we see today. That combined with what administrative limitations we have in the code, they could grow. But say a natural disaster came through like a tornado and ripped up the track, which is the principal use. The special exemption they got in 89 captured that use at that time, and it looks almost identical from the aerials today as far as the drag strip and racetrack and the stadium seating. They might have a couple new ancillary buildings that.
Well, I know there's been a lot done to it improvement-wise. I know that.
But those would be accessory anyway. The principal use is the track and the race drag strip.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm on the board next. And so essentially when you own a piece of property, you have sort of entitlements as to what you're allowed to do with that property. And for the most part, Commissioner Stature, anything this board can vote on, the next board can undo. I mean, should they choose to. I would encourage people to continue to vote in conservative Republicans who support businesses. But when you get to entitlements, once you take a property and you go from, say, agricultural and you zone it for commercial, if the county were to go back and try to take entitlements, it's virtually impossible to do that. In the lawsuits that would be that property owner has opened up to with the county, I mean, the county would absolutely lose their shirt. All the potential income that could have been generated from the property, the county would, in theory, have to pay forever, right? So, I mean, the amount of litigation that it would open the county up to would be insane. So, if there are entitlements that are already granted to the track, that's great. If there are some that, what I would suggest is that we direct Mrs. Knapp or and your staff to over Christmas break, because you have nothing else to do. She's working during lunch anyway. So that when we come back after Christmas, sometime January, February, if you could bring us something, and work with obviously the property owner to bring us something that ensures, solidifies and sort of, if there's any loose ends that need to be tied up with the existing entitlements they have to ensure that the track can operate in perpetuity. That's something I think the board should, it's nothing we want to act on today, but we just give her that direction so that when we come back after Christmas, you could have something like that for us. Ms. Knapp?
It's something that we can also add to our boilerplate language for our notice to buyers. We would expand, we have a standard template we use for notice to buyers. We can expand upon it to include language to cross-reference this administrative determination.
Correct.
So it goes a little further.
Commissioner Cruz.
I think the good deadline would be, they're coming back in February with their general development plan. We should make sure this is locked down solid beforehand. Yeah. And make sure it's inclusive of not only the expansion rights you discussed, but also making sure things like light pollution, noise ordinance, and so forth are all factored into their current business plan, so they can't be modified in the future either.
Okay. Does anyone disagree with giving staff that direction? Okay.
We do have a pretty good staff.
We do. They work during their lunch break. Yeah, we do. And she'll be working on Christmas Day on this. So, okay, so I don't have anyone else on the board. then we are going to open this item up to public comment. So if you're on the 5th floor, you don't have to panic and stampede for the door just yet, because we have some folks in overflow on the 5th floor. We have a lot of people down here that I'm sure are going to want to speak, but if you're on the 5th floor and you want to start slowly working your way down here, you probably have plenty of time to make it down here. So we'll open this up to public comment, and the way this works is each person will come up, and I ask you to state your first name and your last name into the microphone clearly so the clerk can put it down, and then your county of residence. You don't have to give me your address, tell me who you live with, or anything like that, but just your county of residence so we know if we're talking to a county resident or not. And then you'll have 3 minutes to speak specifically on this agenda item. Let's be honest, it kind of seems like things are going your way. There's like, well, Senator Galvano told me some good advice one time when I was campaigning. He said, if someone's already going to vote for you, just shut up and walk away, because you can only screw it up from that point. And it's a good sales tactic as well.
Very true.
Yeah, it's a good sales tactic. But I'm not discouraging anyone from speaking, but perhaps if you were going to agree with the, repeat what the person before you said, you could just step up and say, I support this and I agree with the previous speaker, or something along those lines. And then we'll hopefully make sure that everyone can speak today. So we're going to open this up to public comments. I have a lot of people that have signed up. I don't think I'm going to go through the list. I think I'm just going to ask everyone who wants to speak to some sort of orderly fashion, make your way up towards the podium. You don't have to form a line or anything, but you can if you like. So first speaker, first name, last name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Okay. My name is Garrett Mitchell, and I'm a Manatee County resident. I encourage you guys to hear out. We've got a few speeches on the way for you guys that we've prepared our four crew, and if you agree with that, maybe it's enough to allow these guys to go to a vote. But good afternoon, guys. I'm Garrett Mitchell, like I said, and I own the Freedom Factory, which is the Speedway on 64. It's been the Freedom Factory for 3 years. The drag strip is named Bradenton Motorsports Park. Right now, there's 15,000 people on the live feed for Manatee County's live feed, which is
Number of emails we got.
exciting. And, look at all these people here. Like, look at all these people in opposition of what's trying to be passed today. I'm thankful, though, that we have the opportunity to speak before you today and express our opposition to this application. These are no highways, like Kyle said the sound study was based on. I'm going to show this photo on the overhead. Can we pull that up there real quick? All right. This is the project here in the X'd out area. This is our racetrack. This line right here signifies the typical place that I knock the head gasket out of my engine when I'm making a pass, causing a loud explosion that every house in this community is going to hear, whether there's a 20-foot fence or a 80-foot wide berm. Those are what I think are the facts. So we're very lucky to have two of the most successful racetracks in the county right here in Manatee County. Unfortunately, homes being built next to racetracks is a classic way they fail. The homeowners complain until the racetracks are overrun in local government. The homeowners complain until the racetracks are overrun. Having future homeowners sign a disclosure that the track is there is not enough. And it goes without saying a 20-foot tall fence is probably not enough to stop the sound of a screw-blown, bald eagle breathing V8. The solutions the applicants are proposing will not work, and that's why we all want this completely denied. No transmittal. Let's keep in mind these racetracks operate more than 180 days a year. And as an owner of the track, I simply cannot let these dense neighborhoods get any closer than they are. I think we all know that if this application is transmitted today, there's likely no going back. The state doesn't know the area like you guys do. They don't know the families at the track. They don't see the packed restaurants after a race night. They don't see the booked up hotels. This application needs to stop right here today. This rezoning could significantly impact Manatee County forever. I ask you this as I close this out because it seems like my time just went so fast. If I came to you commissioners today and asked you to rezone some of my land to build two massive loud racetracks right next to 4,500 homes that stood there for 50 years. Would you approve it? And if the answer to that,
Oh no.
then this is not a compatible use of the land.
The answer is no.
That is all I have to say. I want my son to own this racetrack one day. Don't let my racetrack die again.
Thank you, sir.
And it's on a stamp.
Sir? Next. First and last name, county of residence, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Victor Alvarez. I own Bradenton Motorsports Park, which is next door to the Freedom Factory. Honestly, most of what I wanted to say was covered, and I really appreciated the enthusiasm behind what everyone has said to protect the racetracks. These tracks were built in the 70s, and I would consider them to be a landmark in Manatee County. I would say, obviously it's slightly biased, but if you do some research, these are probably the 2 most popular racetracks in the country. And Manatee County is lucky to have them. You know, we have a large economic impact, and I hope that that is considered. I also have 2 daughters that I want to own the racetrack one day, and I hope that they take an interest in it. And I also think that aside from our economic impact, I think that we have a lot of positive impact. I live in Tampa, I reside in Tampa, but obviously I own the racetracks here. If you drive around Tampa on a Saturday night, there's street racing everywhere. If you watch the news, Gandy Boulevard, wherever you want to go, it's just nonstop street racing. We don't have that problem, you know, to that extent here because these people have a safe haven. They have a safe place to go and race. Motorsports is a lifestyle. We give these people a place to race. And we're just extremely concerned, not that you guys aren't, because we've seen this all around the country. These homes get built, the people complain, members of the board change, or something changes, something happens, we get a noise ordinance, or we get something that happens that, you know, puts us out of business. That's all we want to avoid. We just ask that you guys take that into consideration, and we hope to be racing for a long time to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker. First and last name, county of residence, you have 3 minutes.
Yep, Dustin Fowler, Hillsborough County. I'm a state licensed contractor. So we actually build these walls that you were just asking so many questions about. I can tell you facts. I don't like to talk in what ifs and what could be's. I'm going to tell you exactly what they are. So the DOT, one mistake they made is they called it a sound buffer. So now it falls under Florida state law and statute. So since they did that, statute 335.17 requires the opacity of noise to help protect the public health, welfare, and liability of the community. Meaning they have to do a structure sound test that the developer has to pay for, which they have not done, which we have to go, we're the ones who put the walls in, put the actual physical wall in, and then they have to do a structure test on it at their peak noise, not at the corner of the track when nobody's there. At their peak noise during an event, they have to do that. And I can guarantee you, FDOT only requires for interstate is 80 decibels. These cars put way over 80 decibels, okay? So when they do the structure test, it is going to fail with flying colors. And this berm that they're talking about, right? So sound drops about 16 decibels per 100 yards, meaning from that wall, just off of distance of noise, they'd have to have 1,000 yards, 3,000 feet in between you to be able to require that buffer, if you're understanding what I'm saying. So these walls that I'm talking about, they're talking about a 10-foot wall. The interstate walls that only block 80 decibels are 25 feet tall, just the wall, not the berm. So unless they're going to put a 45-foot wall, which by the way doesn't exist because we don't build them, there's no answer for it. So the sound that they have proposed doesn't exist. The technology will not work, and that's why under state law this cannot stand. Their plans are invalid. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker. First and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Michael Scott, Polk County resident. I did submit a letter signed by 5 Manatee County residents, so I'd like to request a 10-minute time period.
Yes, sir, you did. Today. You have 10 minutes.
All right, and the clicker. Okay, so obviously today we're here for the amendment that we've all discussed and come familiar with. My name is Michael Scott. I am a resident of Polk County, but more importantly, a licensed professional engineer in the state of Florida. I have more than 15 years of consulting experience, both in land development, landfill permitting, and all elements of compliance post-production. So, some of the discussion topics today of why are we here? We know in broad terms why that is, but I'll go into some more detail. We need to talk about compatibility. I've heard you guys and I've heard the applicant reference several things, which I would agree with, but there's some contradictions there. Also on notification requirements, some of the Plan Commission background. So just to remind those that are in the audience and the commission today that the Plan Commission voted what's before you today as far as to recommend an approval. And then comprehensive plan. Really what's the reason that we're here today and kind of some backstory behind that. And then, you know, what does it really matter? Why are there so many here that are opposing this project, and what's the intent of our opposition? And then really, you know, the incompatibility is the big thing. I know as a commission, you guys can't sit here and because of emotions decide to deny the transmittal of this. I understand that. But you certainly, if I can make the argument that the proposed development is incompatible with the surrounding and adjacent properties, that is a valid reason that you can deny and not transmit this. So just on here, why are we here? So you notice the image here on the left, that is of the Taylor Ranch planned development, or at least on the rezone side that we're speaking of now. The image to your right, and some of those may find this a little shocking, this is in for staff review. There's another phase, if you will, of Lakewood Ranch that's being reviewed by staff right now, which is 1,300 and something odd acres, totaling almost 4,000 acres that you guys are looking to potentially approve for development in a fairly high density that would then surround all three sides of the racetrack. And the current was a 5-1 vote on December the 8th during the Plan Commission to recommend approval to the commission. So just the arrow there for what we're talking about today, and then the one that is kind of the mystery meat that's not been even talked about today, but I think it's apparent. The one on the right can't happen unless the one on the left is approved, because then it's not coterminous and it's not contiguous. So compatibility, I'll read this verbatim. This is from a comprehensive plan. A condition in which land uses or conditions can coexist in relative proximity to each other in a stable fashion over time, such that no use or condition is unduly negatively impacted directly or indirectly by another use or condition. So can a residence be placed next to a racetrack and can both coexist so that neither one is negatively impacted? I would say the answer is no. So just in general, looking at kind of the area around the racetrack, and let me point here. This is overview of State Road 60 is to the north red boundary. To your right, or the east side, would be 675. And then you have the property in question over to your left, or the west side. You kind of see from the aerial, overall is rural development. There's not a whole lot of high density development within this area. So when we look at this area being more of a rural community, what are some things that are compatible? And I'll show these images because how I kind of look at this is, if these are all compatible in the current and surrounding land use, then they should be compatible in whatever is being proposed. So I have friends that live in Lakewood Ranch. I can tell you that none of these items, boats, RVs, motorhomes, trailers, you're not putting that in your front driveway without a violation, right? It's something that is not allowed in Lakewood Ranch. You have livestock, you have crops. You may can grow a small garden in the back patio if you live in Lakewood Ranch, but you're not farming outside in your yard. You can't put corn stalks in your front yard. These are all compatible with the adjacent properties. And then you get the beautiful sunsets. You get barns. You get small local farms that can teach their kids how to harvest off the land. To teach them more than just how to not get hit by a car riding on a paved road out in front of your house. They actually have land to roam on, land to grow up on, land to experience life. This is an image from yesterday. So this is an event that's currently going on at Bradenton Motorsports Park. It's the SFG race. Racers come together to race for over $350,000. It draws people from all over the nation. This is just one of many events, but you can see on this aerial, this is from yesterday, the adjacent lands are rural. They're not R1, they're not UF3, they're rural. So just real quick on Plan Commission background, not poking holes in anyone or suggesting anything malicious. However, out of the 7 voting members that are on the Plan Commission, There is one that's a residential developer at Kimley Horn with 11 years on the Plan Commission as a VP. Mortgage lender, there's others that are developers, contractors, other realtor, general contractor, and underground utility contractor. The commission's kind of loaded up, if you will, with pro-development folks, which I'm not saying is wrong. I've seen lots of difference, but we're good. But we just want to say this is the background. Their knowledge of real estate, right? Knowledge of development. That's where we're going. So that's their background, and that's fine. I understand that from how to expand it. But it's one of those things that we go through and we look at, okay, how does that help where we are? Well, comprehensive plan, Manatee County has had a comprehensive plan for years that set very clear guidelines on how to plan the community. And that included Lakewood Ranch, and that included the area that we're discussing today. And from that, you'll see on the objective 2.1.2, the last line, it says preserving agriculture as the primary land use east of the FDAB through 2040. We're in 2022. So what you're looking at today is essentially an 18-year fast forward, and progression is if today we're 2040. So when we look at that, it talks about implementation mechanisms, and one of that is transition and densities. Well, Lakewood Ranch proposed, right, the particular development is not a lower density. It's a fairly tight density when you look at what it's proposed. So then there's no transitional spot from a rural area that's to the east to existing Lakewood Ranch. It would just be more urban sprawl of dense development. And then so I like to look at things from a centric standpoint. I know there was an image put up before by the applicant that showed, the proposed development to the right side and all this development existing to the left, and that is correct. But if we look at it from the racetrack being the center point of the circle, you have to go more than 3 miles away to intersect the next nearest subdivision that has any kind of density beyond rural development, with the exception of one small neighborhood to the east of the racetrack. So I ask, when we look at compatibility, how is an eastward expansion of Lakewood Ranch compatible with the surrounding and adjacent properties? When we're looking at everything north, south, and east, does not have the same properties as what we're proposing. And then that's what happens in April of 2022, right, is when 2.1.2.8 comes to life and is in the comprehensive plan. And I understand as county commission, you have a duty to uphold what's in the comprehensive plan, but 2.1.2.8 does not negate the fact of being compatible and compatible with those surrounding communities. So I would argue that although this does allow for development east of the boundary, if it's contiguous, conterminous, applicant did a great job covering that we are still not compatible. We're incompatible. So therefore, it should not be. Looking at this, so potentially 7,000 to 8,000 new homes if you look at the proposed density for the existing project and then the adjacent eastern project, that equates to about 40 to 50,000 daily trips. If you look at standard numbers used for daily trips generated by single-family households. And then, of course, the racetrack just in reference. But I didn't look at just the racetrack as being adjacent and has to be compatible. It's this actual proposed development. And just some basis, so what does it matter? These guys alluded to it, they're very popular, YouTube influencers and other social media outlets. Several ticket sales, over $20 million in direct economic impact for 2022 alone. And then street racing, they mentioned it. These are photos. This is what happens when people go on the street and race and don't have a place to go. Fatalities happen, families lose their lives. So I, in my professional opinion, would state that the proposed project is not compatible and that the board should do a very serious and hard thought on that particular application of this project. And for that, please do not transmit this amendment and to deny the request. And just a couple of things real quick. You guys, I mentioned earlier about the Honor the Great Nation, at the beginning of this meeting today. Honor your great community. The commissioners before that sat in your seats, developed this plan to be 2040. So why not honor that? Why have something that fast forwards time and takes rights away from all these people? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And well timed. All right, next speaker. First name, last name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Spencer Fagioni, and I live in Manatee County. First, I want to say thank you for hearing us on this matter today. I'd like to start off by beginning with the recent history of the land that was being proposed to have 4,500 homes built on it. Back in 2019, when SMR purchased this land, it was stated that it would be used to relocate their sod farm to this land and maintain its agricultural zoning. With the recent economic expansion and housing market boom, their position of use for their land has changed to develop more single-family homes. As a resident of Manatee County and Lakewood Ranch, I feel as though it is just to the citizens of our community that when we zoned land for certain purposes, that we uphold that commitment. Agricultural land is important to our community. As my colleague Garrett Mitchell mentioned, this urban sprawl threat is the classic case of how a racetrack begins to die. I would like to reference the 2011 case of Brackett versus Moeller Raceway Park in the 12th District of Ohio Court of Appeals of Brown County. As stated in the court documents, when the original track was built, there was no residential housing within a 20-mile radius of this track. As urban sprawl began to close in the following years, residences of nearby communities began to complain about the noise. Shortly thereafter, a lawsuit ensued and the damage was done. Moving forward, the track was forced to limit the use of track time and hours of operation, as well as implement special use permitting. Special use permitting costed this track tens of thousands of dollars a year. This single-handedly is an expense that can put a racetrack out of business. These racetracks have done nothing but to help stimulate the economy of Manatee County. These racetracks continue to be an icon of Manatee County and have always upheld our community standards and values. At several of our past events, I've had the opportunity to meet families from as far away as Alaska, Sweden, Germany, Australia, and the United Kingdom. These families stay in local hotels, eat at local restaurants, and spend their vacation dollars here in Manatee County. My concern is that putting homes next to our historic racetracks will jeopardize our ability to bring this level of tourism to our small community. Although I like the idea of sound abatement, my concern is that a 25-foot high structure, barrier, or fence will not be sufficient to keep the homeowners happy. With new homes being proposed within a few hundred feet of the track, I do not believe that will be enough distance between the racing and these families' homes. The inverse square law is used to calculate the sound pressure level reduction and is used commonly in urban and commercial development. As the attorney representing the opposite side, he stated that there would be a provision made to include a perimeter buffer of 80 feet and a total distance of approximately 400. Using the inverse square law math formula, we can determine that at a range of 5,200 feet, a race car producing 136 decibels of noise would be reduced to approximately 68 decibels. For an example, if you have a vacuum cleaner or a hairdryer in your house, that is the equivalent of 68 decibels. As you consider the amendment to your local agricultural land use, I urge you to consider this and imagine yourself sitting down for dinner with the vacuum cleaner running in the other room. Imagine yourself arriving home from work just to hear the hairdryer blowing in the other room continuously. As Commissioner Satcher mentioned earlier regarding a separate issue, he stated he is not in the business of handpicking winners and losers. I urge you to stand with Commissioner Satcher and his way of thinking and considering this amendment today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Next speaker, please. So, first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Alzo. I'm a resident of Manatee County, and I'm here today to support the racetrack and ask that you do not approve a zoning change to allow a 4,500 home development next to the existing racetrack. Main reason being, a housing development does not belong next to a racetrack. I have owned 6 drag strips since 2006. This includes 2 in Florida, 1 in Kentucky, 1 in Tennessee, 1 in West Virginia, and I currently operate the NHRA sanctioned drag strip on Riverhead, Long Island, New York. I mention this because I tried to open 3 additional racetracks, and each time that I made my proposal, I was turned down by the powers that be that said a racetrack does not belong next to a housing development, and I was not able to continue with that development. I understand that today's meeting is to be not to shut down the drag strip, but to talk about the possibility of approving the zoning for this development. And I feel that if the zoning was approved and they were able to build, what will happen in the future, as other speakers have mentioned, it will eventually lead to complaints by the neighbors, no matter what they sign. Once the attorneys get involved with it, you got litigation, and it will be a nightmare for the drag strip. A housing development does not belong next to a drag strip. And again, I'm short and sweet because I am short and sweet. So I will say, the following up. Bradenton Motorsports Park and the Freedom Factory have been operating, as you know, for many, many years. Another thing that has not been mentioned is you folks, Manatee County, as many other counties around the country, do a wonderful job in providing venues for basketball, baseball, football, soccer, etc. However, there's a lot of us that aren't into the motorsport, or the ball sports rather. We're gearheads. We love motorsports. This is what Freedom Factory and Bradenton Motorsports Park, that's the void that they fill. Don't hurt them by approving this with the future possibility of litigation that will give them a headache. They are a great venue. They are wholesome family entertainment, and I hope you will turn down this proposal for zoning change.
Thank you, sir. Before you step away, Madam Clerk, did you get his name?
Oh.
Peter Salzo?
Scalzo, Scalzo.
Okay. It wasn't on my screen, so I just wanted to make sure she types it in. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that.
Next speaker, first name, last name, county of residence. Hopefully everyone gets the routine by now.
My name is Dan Metzinger. I'm a resident of Maricopa County, which is in Phoenix. And yes, I flew all the way here specifically for this. So I wanted to come out here specifically to kind of make a mention that I saw on the news yesterday that local news channel said that local race enthusiasts were worried about this. And this is far-reaching. This goes way beyond the county. The YouTube channel that promotes the content out of this racetrack reaches 20 million people a month. So out of curiosity, I looked up the Visit Florida YouTube channel last night, and it was astounding. 16 years, they have amassed 40 million views. This track is generating that in 2 months. So that is bringing people from outside of Manatee County to this community on a daily basis. So not only are you potentially, by pushing this through, preventing that from continuing on after we all know what the end result of this is going to be, you're not just affecting local, you're affecting people not just even across the country. It's worldwide at this point. So what I would request is, if this does manage to get to that point where it gets pushed forward, is what is the economic impact of that reach? So if there's going to be considerations about economics, I think that if you're going to forward this to the state, they should probably look long and hard at the amount of money and time that they invest in really unsuccessful reach outside of the state. Certainly very relevant. Now, the other part of this is I come from construction. I've spent plenty of time coming up with beautiful site plans to present to folks like yourselves to get through a certain step. So as I heard earlier, there's already some noise ordinances in place. And guess what? Nobody calls and complains, because if a tree falls in the woods, does anybody hear it, sort of thing. So if I was in this situation where I was trying to present you guys with a site plan, I would basically say, let's just get this thing through and move on. But I wouldn't do it with an 85-foot reach to the nearest boundary. I would have tried to push that thing back and say, let's just try to get within like a few 100 feet, and then once the people move in, they'll call, complain about the noise, the track will be gone in no time, don't worry about it, owner, you'll have nothing to worry about. That's what I'd be doing, and it seems to me like this site plan is beyond not in good faith. It's an aggressive approach to show you what is a sign of time to come. So last thing I'll mention is I heard you guys say earlier, once you guys approve something as the government, you can't walk it back. You've already committed to somebody. So to hear you guys say you're just going to kind of push this through to the transmit stage, not to worry about it like it's just going to make it through to the state and then it's on them. Well, once it gets back here, you've already said in some earlier conversations about some other things that we're discussing is, well, we can't walk it back. So that's the one thing I take away from this, is the commitment from you guys to say, once you vote something through, there's really no walking it back. That was in conversation earlier today. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, J.C. Krushenko, Sarasota County. So I oppose the zoning change. It places these racetracks at risk, and I'm here to give you a different view, a family view. To SMR, what's at risk? These tracks provide families with lasting memories. Families start racing at age 5. This is bigger than baseball dads and soccer moms. This is a place where kids can learn to race and possibly become a professional racer and keep racing off the streets. Safe place for the kids. How many street racing fatalities happen around here? Not any. Why? Why not? Because we have a place for the kids to go to. More importantly, this is a place for families to go have fun. Dreams and goals are reached here. I raced back in my day. My son's dad raced back in his day. He's also a sponsor and a vendor at this track. And now our son Nico races. Generational racing happens here. This is a place where investments have been made to upgrade the tracks. This is a place that BMP is noted in the drag racing industry as the top track of the country. Thank you, Victor, for that. This change will affect families, affect owners, affect employees, affect sponsors, and affect fans. I'm a local realtor of 35 years in this business. I get the housing market, but I'm a racetrack mama all day, every day, and as well a sponsor at this track, and I oppose this. Racing is a favored pastime. There are other areas to build. Please do not pass this zoning change that puts our favorite sport at risk. Another drag strip and circle track to die. I hope you see the lobby, the overflow room upstairs. This is important to so many. We support Victor and Garrett, and more importantly, we thank them for all they have done, are doing, and will do to keep the sport alive. This should not be about money and numbers. It should be about the people, all these people. Racing is America. Thank you.
Very well said, ma'am. Thank you. Next speaker, first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Jason Hefner. I'm a Manatee County resident. Not only am I a Manatee County resident, I'm the owner of a small business in the area whose sustainability is dependent on the motorsports industry. I live near the intersection of Lakewood Ranch Boulevard and State Road 70, which is approximately 10 nautical miles from the racetrack. And like one of your council members mentioned, on certain nights, if certain events are going on, my wife and I can open our back window or sit on the back porch and we can hear the cars going down the track 10 miles away. Some of the things that, I feel are really important when you're doing business, transparency and, lack of empty promises. And the proposal here tells me that the consideration given to the preservation of the racetrack by the proposed builder it hasn't been taken very seriously. If you visited one of these races and you're standing on the starting line, the car is going down the track accelerating for 1,320 feet. You can hear it far and wide. Some of the cars, they project the exhaust up, some back, some out the side. At 300 feet, which is the proposed buffer, it's advisable to be wearing ear protection at the buffer distance. So most of the council has touched on the historic significance of the racetrack, which I really appreciate hearing. I think, what's most important to identify here is unless somebody can provide some sort of scientific information, scientific data that tells you that noise levels at this distance can be brought below a level to where a complaint could be considered, I don't see how you could possibly build houses. I don't feel like you could sell 4,000 homes with full transparency, without, to some level, deceiving potential buyers. And if you can't come up with a scientific method of getting the noise levels to a compatible level with the proposed community, I don't see how you can possibly transmit the application and move forward. The farther this gets away from here in the local community, the greater the disconnect will be, and the more out of touch it'll be, with the realities of the proposed community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Zafir Khan. I'm from Manatee County. Out of interest of time and respect to all these people in line, a lot of things have been said here very, very eloquently today. I just want to say I strongly oppose this transmittal. I stand behind everything that everybody has said so far. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Donovan Quick, and I reside in Hendry County. Donovan Quick.
Thank you. He said quick.
Yes, that is my last name. Born racer, I guess. And you know what? I actually grew up.
Racer, that's a good last name, sir.
Yeah. I grew up in Miami-Dade County for most of my youth, and there's a drag strip down there, County Line Raceway. When that closed down, it increased so much street racing over there, and it led to so many fatalities, including one of my stepfather's best friends. And then I ended up moving to North Broward County, and so Palm Beach International Raceway was then my track. And it recently closed down, and there's been a lot of street racing accidents since it has closed down, including a SUV full of 6 family members that was killed by a street racer. And I can't bear to see any more of that. We have to be able to keep this track around no matter what. I now moved over to the West Coast, and this is my track. I come here for 10 plus years for the events that Vic has put on, and yeah, man, I can't bear to see any lives lost because a racetrack is closed down because of a few houses. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Sean Eskew. I live in Pasco County. I just want to say I oppose this project, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Robert Graff, and I'm from Charlotte County, where Ross Chastain did learn to drive. And the major thing here, if you cut to the chase, is the noise. There is no way that anyone's going to build any kind of wall that's going to stop the sound from that drag strip going onto those houses. That's just not going to be able to happen. I don't care how big of a wall, how much stuff you put in the way, you're going to hear Cleeter blow his engine every couple of weeks. Therefore, I think that the people proposing this, they know that. They try to ameliorate before you people so that they can expand their currently expanding business. I was shocked to see that there's yet another parcel right behind the track that's following up on this one. Let's stop it now before it goes anywhere. Don't transmit this. Those people, they know when they planned this that the track was there. They know about the noise, but they still want to build. I don't blame them. Everybody wants to make money. Unfortunately, the track should take precedence for this community. A lot of people from Charlotte County travel here all the time to see these events. So please, please don't transmit this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning or afternoon. My name is Gene Tharp. I'm a lifetime resident of Pt2 County. 50 years ago, about my partner Stan Swartz and I, Stanley passed away earlier this year, so he's not able to attend. Anyway, we came before this commission with a proposal to build a racetrack and drag strip. We had chosen a piece of property over on 62nd Avenue East in an industrial area. We brought the proposal to the commission, and we had quite a bit of opposition from the Onika community, and the commission denied our request. But the commission chair at that time was Dan McClure, and he said, you know, the county wants this proposal. We want this track. We will help you locate a more suitable location to build it. And they assigned some staff to help us locate a suitable location. And they came back to us in a few days and had proposed the site at which the track is built now. We made a deal with the property owner. The commission approved the development of the track, and we built that, operated it for a few years, and then have since sold it and passed on to other owners who have done a fantastic job in promoting the facility. It's one of the greatest there is in the country for its size and scope. And it has been a recreational outlet for tens of thousands of Manatee County residents. It's brought in people from all parts of the country on a regular basis. It has a tremendous economic impact. I encourage this commission to carefully evaluate the protections that are necessary to keep this facility strong and safe and be available for the residents of Manatee County. Thank you.
Sir, do you remember when there was a racetrack behind Red Lobster, what is now Swan Lake?
Pardon me?
Do you remember there was a racetrack behind what is now Red Lobster on 41 that is currently Swan Lake Mobile Home Park? Do you remember that far back? 41 on where the Red Lobster is? Anyway, that's okay. I was just wondering if you remembered that. You're going back a little ways there.
Hello, my name is Mike Curtin. I'm a fourth generation Floridian here. I grew up racing the short tracks. Raced at the Orlando Raceway, which is still there because it's in Buffalo. I raced at the Palm Beach Raceway. It's gone because of the urban. I raced at the Hialeah Raceway. It's gone. And it was all because of the complaints of the noise. And with 4,500 homes here, you know, the noise is funny. The child that said a 10, 20-foot buffer is going to kill the noise. My great uncle lives 2.5 miles from the Daytona Raceway on Tomoka Farms, 1,000 acres there. That stadium there is 150 feet tall and got to be 400 feet long. As a child, we'd walk out to the patio there, put the TV outside and watch it so we could hear the race cars. So I can't imagine what a buffer that he's proposing, 20 feet, would stop much more than a lawnmower. And the Freedom Factory is a community piece, like a lot of people. If your son swims, that's important, but it doesn't mean soccer's not important or tennis to the other person. This is an auto community that keeps kids that are in this. This track has a ton of events all the times. And the street racing, nobody wants to lose a child. And every place they have a track, the street racing dies. Every place they don't, it goes back up. You know, and it's the communities that stay together, like the racing community. They may not be for everybody, but you know, a gym of this track has been around forever, and the noise thing, and I think it's been misrepresented. You're never going to sell that noise. Our commissioner, Miss Brawl, there said she can hear it 4 or 5 miles away up over there. This guy is telling me 300 feet away. You can't. Or why does it have to be there? Why don't they move their complex somewhere else in this county and their neighbors can be tomato plants or a pepper field? Why do they got to come ruin this? You wouldn't move a place that would ruin a basketball court. And I'm sure, I haven't looked at it, but I'm sure this proposal that they have at their big sites with all the 47 homes doesn't include a sports complex, doesn't include a soccer field, doesn't include anything for the community. It's going to be homes. I don't see these people giving up 20 acres for the community. So it's about them and their money. And the complaints will happen with the noise because it does. A racetrack doesn't belong near this, but they don't belong near it either. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next speaker, first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Siebold. I'm a Manatee County resident. I believe the urban boundary line is there for a reason, and we should respect that. And there's really no reason to go forward because it's already there. And 2040, that's, you know, we want to talk about development at that point. That's what we've already planned for. We all get stuck in gridlock traffic every day on I-75 in the morning and when we come home from work. So I don't really think that, you know, this homes getting built everywhere. It's kind of getting out of control, and I think we can all agree at that. You guys have a great day. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Vincent. I'm from Cumberland, Rhode Island, and I'm just here to let you know I oppose the land change near the racetrack. I've traveled down here this past weekend to compete at the racetrack, and I extended my stay to be able to show up here today and speak. I've seen this happen many times up in New England where tracks close because neighbors complain, and slowly they get rules enforced about times they can be open, days, etc. And I wouldn't like to see this happen at the Freedom Factory. It's a very nice facility, and it reaches a lot of people worldwide. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. First and last name, your county of residence in 3 minutes.
Joel Bernardini, Bernardini, coming from Lee County, Florida, south of us, about a 2-hour drive. Please excuse my anxiety and nervousness. I'm kind of unprepared for this. Just wanted to say thank you for taking the time and listening to all of us, for your reasonability and understanding for your attractions in your county. I'm just a fan. I moved from New York a few years ago to get away from the urban sprawl. You know, everybody on top of each other. It's the worst. You know, I came down to Southwest Florida to enjoy, you know, the amenities, the lifestyle, the beaches. I support everything around here. We drive up to your beaches from Southwest, from 2 hours down here. I just wanted to add that these guys have helped me through depression and anxiety during the pandemic. You know, what they offer to people is larger than just you know, racing. It's always been my dream to attend the car show as a child, and just this past weekend I was able to, for the first time in my life, to do that with my wife. It was a wonderful experience. Never done it in my life before. So thank you guys. I was also lucky. We were also lucky enough to purchase a home in Southwest Florida during the depression, during the downturn, and it's our dream now currently to sell and to live in Bradenton, to be as close as we can to this track. If I could, if this goes through, it would be one of our plans to if we had to purchase there, so that we can be on the HOA, so we could be against them, to say no, sign whatever we have to sign, to say no, we purchased here specifically to be closer to the track. So we just want to say thank you for your time and understanding in the situation. So please, you know, put some time and thought into this. There's a lot of people, as someone earlier said, millions of people worldwide appreciate what they provide. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, sir. First and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Kenneth Klein, Bronxville County, but I vacation very frequently here, Manatee County, 3 to 4 times a year. I think our issue here is a major concern why everyone's here is the noise and what will happen from homeowners and the complaints, and what will happen to the track many years from now. It's just, I think common sense is being ignored, or there's a distraction. There's things you just don't do. You do not put a jail next to a school. You do not put a liquor store next to a sober house. You don't put a strip club next to a church, and you don't put houses next to a racetrack. It's just not going to work. I've stood out on Belvedere, and like just last week, and you can hear the cars. This buffer that they're suggesting, I just don't see how it's going to work in the short amount of distance that they're stating. So for that, I oppose. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please state your first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Scott Schenkel, Orange County. Just kind of reiterating what everybody else says. I mean, you don't put a housing development next to the racetrack. It just doesn't make sense. The sound study that they say that they have done, they're comparing that racetrack to what goes on a highway. And there's no way, when you have cars going down the highway that are going to make the same amount of sound of a 632 cubic inch big block leaving the line at 7,200 and shifting to 8,500, it just doesn't happen. There's no berm that they can put there that will make that sound go away. I mean, you got 2 young men here that are putting their lives and heart and souls into these tracks, and I understand that you all want them to stay. I've traveled up and down the East Coast racing with different organizations and seen many, many times of racetracks that urban sprawl happens, and they've tried sound barriers, they've put walls up, they've made people sign different, trying to be transparent, make them sign saying you can't do this, you can't do that. It's never worked. As you have said yourselves, the next commission that could go in there can change it at any point in time. They can vote and change anything. You have said that. It's just, as reiterating everybody says, I mean, the racetrack, I oppose it, putting the houses there, and as some of, I believe your campaign's promises or sayings were, is that you want to stop problems before they happen, and you have the ability today to stop that problem before it happens. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Diane Wardell, Manatee County. Forgive me, I'm not used to doing this. My property is at the southeast corner of this proposed development. I found Mr. Bearden's comment earlier giving away the farm very ironic, since that's what's happening out here. We really don't have any farms left in this area. I support growth, but controlled growth. As everybody knows, it's nonstop construction from Moccasin Wallow to 70. There are construction trucks up and down the highways. I've chosen not to live in Lakewood Ranch. I don't want to be surrounded by Lakewood Ranch. I have a 20-acre farm. I raise show cattle. I raise beef cattle. I raise sheep. I have a boarding barn. I have taught my children to ride there. I plan to teach my grandchildren to ride there. I moved from Parrish in 2008 when there were so many subdivisions being approved there. At the time, we were told that the zoning allowed them and there wasn't anything we could do about it. Actually fought against Caleb Grimes' clients on many of those projects. I was told, move past the herbage fringe. You'll be safe until 2040. So I moved. Thought my zoning would protect me. I knew that eventually something would happen out there, but I figured I had 18 more years. I live behind a horse community, which is Panther Ridge. All of the property owners around me, including in there, have at least 5 acres, up to 20-acre properties. We have horses, we have chickens, we have cows, we shoot guns, we ride four-wheelers, and at Thanksgiving, we blow things up, and we hear about it all over the news for the next few days about what was that noise. So this is the type of community I'd like to see you all put in there. Put in an equestrian subdivision, put in a racetrack subdivision, put in a big park behind there where we can ride horses, where we can have fun there. Do something that's more compatible. We don't all want to live in a Lakewood Ranch style subdivision. We were told that Burnside was the border. That was it. We would be safe past that. And I don't know what happened in November. I was busy fixing fences and birthing calves, so I don't know about that meeting. Apparently, I should have. So that's what I would like. I also would like you all to camp out there during a race weekend, because I live almost to 70 and I can hear those engines. And sometimes I can hear, I guess now I know it's called blowing a gasket, where my mother did that, but anyway, you can hear that. So, and I also would, if anything does go through, either with this one or the next subdivision, which is right next to it, I would ask that you not tie in to any of the smaller roads like 61st that runs behind. It's a dirt road. We ride the horses up and down it. And if there is any development along the southern border, you've got Panther Ridge. We have horses. We give lessons. We have kids riding, loud noises and stuff. It's gonna cause problems. So, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, and well timed. Sir, first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Gary Montag, Manatee County resident my entire life. Good afternoon, commissioners, chair, buenos dias. Like I said, I've lived here my entire life. Born in Manatee Memorial Hospital, first graduating class from Braden River High School. Manatee County is my blood. My family lives here. They work here, to include an administrator in this building in East Manatee County Fire Rescue that actually covers the track. I grew up at these tracks. I remember playing in the playgrounds behind the track while my dad was front straightaway flagman. That was 3 owners prior to Garrett. Garrett took over the track. I assumed the tracks were already going to be gone because nobody could turn a profit there. Between Victor and Garrett, they have managed to bring these tracks back to their former glory. I think that they are part of our history. They gain national attention, revenue through tourism, entertainment. All this stuff has been touched. Safety. The big thing I want to touch on is don't kick the bucket down the road. If we don't stop it here, it goes forward. And like stated in one of the first items you guys covered today, once you make a promise, we can't go back. You guys, that was straight out of your guys' mouths. Okay, I ask that you stop it here and don't let it keep going forward. With that said, I oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. My name is Thomas Muller of Sarasota County. Me and my sister have been racing at Bradenton Motorsports since we were both 8 years old. And I still race there today, and that track means a lot to me and my family, and I simply oppose to this zoning change.
Thank you very much, sir.
My name is Larry Futch from Manatee County. My mom, my grandpa, cousin, uncle, all raced at Bradenton Motorsports. It's a traditional thing. I like how y'all kind of value tradition and culture, and that is just one of the biggest things here in Manatee County. And I want my children to go there. I want my grandchildren to go there, and I just want it to go on down the line for a bunch of people to enjoy. So I oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi there, Wesley Stounauer, Polk County. I would just like to say that I oppose the vote, and I hope when each of you vote, think of something that you're passionate about. Think of it being under threat. What gets you up in the morning? Think of that being under threat when you vote. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Colin Etienne. I'm a resident of Hillsborough County. I would like to ask this board to go ahead and deny application PA2109. Thank you. Victor Garrett, you have our support.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Corey Camille, St. Lucie County resident. I just wanted to say that I'm also a firefighter, paramedic for Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. We have seen the closure of Palm Beach International Raceway, and that has impacted our traffic accidents and safety locally. And I just didn't want that to become a problem over here. I also am a motorsports enthusiast as well at Co-Drive in the desert in Nevada. And we also have noise issues over there in the desert with residents. Kind of hard to believe, but it is something that we have to deal with. So I just wanted to say I oppose this, and have a great day.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ma'am?
Hi, Carol Feltz, Mayaca City again. This is a road that we've been down before. This started a long time ago, and it's good to have the support of the racetrack people. We said a few years ago to be very cautious in moving the FDAB. We had a lot of people that came out and said, we don't want you to move the FDAB, because we knew we had the track, we had the rural areas, we had questions with our infrastructure, but we were told it's just a transmittal. Well, the next thing you know, we're looking at 8,000 houses over here after it being just a transmittal. There's a lot of things that we also asked to work with the county. We also asked to work with the developer in having a better vision. All we got was, it's just a transmittal. So now that we've got international acclaim and national acclaim once again in Manatee County, I think we need to utilize that to our best exposure. And let's go back to the drawing board. Let's hold this off. I agree completely. We must say no to this transmittal. There's a lot to be done out there on 5-acre homes. There's a lot to be done out there with working with your community, with communicating with your community, with making it a compatible community for everyone. There's money to be made for our landowners. There's prestige to be gained by our commissioners. And there's a quality of life out there for every citizen in this county. And we told you that this was going to happen if you move the FDAB. And you didn't listen to us at the time, and now I get to say I told you so. Thank you.
That was good.
Sir, first and last name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Andrew Peretti. I'm a resident of Manatee County. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, a second-generation racer, and a historian. So I'm just here to point out some history repeats itself moments. This county went through this exact same thing in 1971 with Serramana Speedway. as the chairman had said. It was located on the corner of 57th Avenue West and US 41. If you've been in this county a long time, you know that Bayshore Gardens was built in the late 50s. Bayshore Gardens was the cause of the death of Serramana Speedway. We built this track 9 miles east of I-75 to get away from the housing developments, and it needs to stay away from the housing developments. Housing and racetracks are not compatible. You don't build a Navy ship in the middle of Denver, and you don't put houses next to a racetrack. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name's Paul Corsetti, Hillsborough County. I'm a business owner, and we choose to support the track. We have other tracks we can go to. This is the best track in the country. My company's name's on the back of this shirt because we want to support them because they support us. My son's raced at this track their whole junior career. We run an alcohol dragster, and when Jackie Frick comes down here with 8,000 horsepower, a 20-foot wall is not going to stop anything. You're talking about hearing that car for 7 or 8 miles away. Just like she says, you're going to hear it. You're not going to stop it, and whatever they're going to do is not going to mitigate the problem. And when the lawyers get involved, when you push this through, if you push it through, the lawyers are going to get involved, and the lawyers alone can bankrupt these guys. They'll hold it up in court, and they'll keep picking away at it. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but in 4 years, these guys that have their whole lives on the line, their families' lives on the line, you're going to let them go bankrupt because you don't want to put your foot down now and stop this. It's ridiculous. You do not put houses that close to this kind of entertainment. You need to not transmit this today.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Chris Nelson. I'm a Manatee County resident. I'm also a voter in Manatee County District 1. I have an agricultural business as well as a performance motorsports business that we run in Manatee County. It's very simple to me, is right now we don't have a problem, and you guys have the opportunity to keep it that way. There's been proposals by business, venturists, capitalists, people that are interested in making money off of this, and you guys have a unique opportunity to stop it while there is no problem. I think it's very simple too. If you look around the room today, you figure out who fits in Manatee County and who doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is John Egros. I'm a Manatee County resident, and thank you for your time today. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things about the value of Bradenton Motorsports Park and the Freedom Factory, and just in pure attendance alone, I don't think we have any sports venue in the county that brings in as many people attendance per year. I don't think there's anything that touches it. You could probably add up all the ball games at WeCom and it probably doesn't touch it. But not only is it just entertainment where you're there and going and watching, and that's really it. Kids are learning science, technology, engineering, and math hands-on for the ones that do start racing at 5 or 6 years old. They learn teamwork and they learn good sportsmanship. You can't do that in a lot of other types of venues. So that is something that's very special to Manatee County. And it is in a sporting event where people can go and come together, and you're not just sitting in your seats. People walk around, they meet each other. You can meet everyone. I can go up and meet guys like Garrett and get their autograph. It's not like going to a ball game where you're never going to get to shake the player's hand or meet them or anything like that. It's truly, truly a family atmosphere that is unique, that needs to be protected. I also wanted to mention that we also have nationally televised events here. Recently, Bradenton Motorsports Park was on the Discovery Channel for No Prep Kings, and they've also announced that the World Series of Pro Mod will be televised on CBS coming in March of 2023. People know of Bradenton because of the exposure of these tracks and come here to be close to them. And people have already mentioned hurting surrounding businesses. And my questions I would ask would be, the agreements that the buyers would have to sign, would also those have to be required of future buyers in a second or third or fourth sale all the way down the road for perpetuity? Or is that just for the ones that buy the houses up, initially buy them when they're built? And the other question I have is there noise complaints already at the distances that we have? And if there is a small number, like building closer isn't going to, reduce that number. Thank you for your time. Please do not transmit this.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. First name is Jason. Last name is St. Hilaire, Broward County resident. First up, I want to thank the commissioners. Thank you for giving me this time. I have driven 3.5 hours to have this opportunity of 3 minutes to speak before you. I certainly hope that the residents of Manatee County realize the jewel that they have here. This is a crown jewel. I'm a hobbyist motorsport historian. I'm a racer at heart. I'm a licensed official with the Sports Car Club of America. So I am not just a fan of the grandstand, I'm an active participant in motorsport. Of the Florida region, so I have seen the tracks that everyone has mentioned go by the wayside. I have seen and I have worked the very last race held at Palm Beach International Raceway. That was one of the saddest days of my racing life. I've seen County Line go by the wayside. I have seen and heard of Hialeah. I wish I could have seen Hialeah before it went by the wayside. I wish I could have seen County Line before it went by the wayside. I also volunteered my time at these racetracks. And on my way home, I drive up Chrome Avenue in Miami-Dade County and I drive up US 27. Because of the closure of these racetracks, racers have nowhere to go other than the street, and that's where lives get lost. I am in opposition of this measure. I strongly urge you to consider what the ramifications may be if this passes. I certainly wish and hope that the residents of this county understand, and even if not, it's not about Manatee County, it's not about the city of Bradenton, it's not about the state of Florida. I have volunteered my time at racetracks around the United States, not just places like Homestead. I've spent my time at Daytona, I've spent my time at Sebring, I've spent my time at Indianapolis, but this track here, from what I could see, is a crown jewel. I hope that I have an ability to see it in person. I have yet to see this track. I hope that I have an ability to see it. Thank you all for your time, and I'm just in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Paul Marziani. I'm a resident of Manatee County. In fact, when I retired, we decided to move from Philadelphia to Florida. And one of the things that brought us to Bradenton was the track. I used to tell my wife that I'm going to work there, and I do. And everybody I talk to, if it's my church, my neighbor, at Bradenton when they were a kid, or taking their kids there, or knowing people that race there. And I'm just opposed to this whole deal, and it should stop right here. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Ian Rayleigh, Seminole County. I was up at 5:30 in the morning to come here and speak. Apologize for my voice. I think this is a terrible idea. You're putting a loud racetrack right next to residential. I can give a personal example of being in Indianapolis, 8 miles away from IRP when the U.S. Nationals are going on, and able to clearly hear Top Fuel cars going down the road. And there are 2 major highways in between me. So it's kind of amazing that this isn't a bigger problem already. And then to slap 4,000 homes slap dab next to this is just ridiculous. I oppose this.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Miles Evans, Manatee County, and I oppose this as well.
Thank you, sir.
Name's Brendan Chen of Hillsborough County, and I also oppose the transmission.
Could you state your name one more time for the clerk?
Brendan Chen.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Cooper Bogetti, and I live in Lakewood Ranch, and I oppose this. I go to Bradenton probably every single weekend. They have the best cheeseburger actually in Bradenton. Lost a lot of money at that track racing, but I want to take a different approach. I live in Lakewood Ranch, and I am lucky enough to live on 1 acre. And when I see these new housing developments go up, and it looks like there's 10 homes per acre. They all look identical. It's not as advertised. That's not Lakewood Ranch. That's nothing like what the signs say. Number one place to move to is Lakewood Ranch. You're moving to any suburb in the country at that point, and I think we should try to at least keep the ranch in Lakewood Ranch. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And West Bradenton is also a lovely place.
Hello, my name is Kyle Wade from Hillsborough County, Florida. I actually moved here from Colorado about a couple years back, specifically for the use of this drag strip. It's important to me. I'm a racer, and it supports my business, and I know it supports many of these people in this room. And it would just, really put a big impact on all of our lives. And, I look at everyone here, and these are all hardworking, honest men, and this is our place to go and play and just have a good, safe place to race. And on top of that, I have a really loud Honda Civic, and those walls and hedges, no matter how big, how wide they are, they're going to hear me missing a gear going down the track. And I just don't want to be annoying to the new houses that might go up. So with that being said, I oppose to this, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Name's Kyle Jones. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good public speaker here, so I'm extremely nervous.
What's your county of residence?
I'm from Dane County, Wisconsin, actually.
All right.
Out of state. They're out of state.
Welcome to Manatee County, sir.
Yeah. So kind of going off what Cooper says a little bit. I also think it should be, I don't think it's right to build a single family home on 1 acre. And then on the noise complaints, I actually grew up watching monster trucks. And in Dane County, there is a coliseum where they allowed monster trucks. That coliseum is 100% enclosed. It cannot open. There's God knows how much concrete separating, the actual arena to the outside on there. And on times when me and my mom left early, I could still clearly hear the monster trucks in the car while we were heading up on the highway. So there is no amount of wall that you can possibly do to prevent the sound from spreading to these houses. Thank you. And I also oppose.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First, last name, county of
Angelo
residence.
Metzla, Manatee County. Everyone who moved out east moved out for a reason, myself included. They mentioned trees will stop sound along with a small barrier. I live 3 miles away with a 25-acre wooden lot directly between us and the track, and I'm pretty sure I heard Cleetus blowing up his car while we were eating dinner. But not only will having the neighborhood there impact the track and the surrounding neighbors who moved out there for a farming lifestyle, but can our infrastructure really support that many more houses? They said they'd build more roads, but that's only for the proposed neighborhood. The rest of Bradenton really can't handle that much more traffic. My company services Sarasota through Palmetto, and I'm having to decrease the range I'll travel because of the traffic. I-75 never moves. Fort Hammer backs up to 64 every single day. Lorraine takes 20 minutes just to get through the light at 64, and downtown Bradenton takes 30 minutes just to go a few miles in the morning. I strongly oppose this proposed neighborhood. So.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go another 15 minutes. We're not going to stop, but we're going to take a 10-minute recess in 15 minutes. Just a heads up. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Morgan Hickson, and I currently reside in Hillsborough County, but I do spend more time in Manatee County and at the racetrack than I do my own house. I work on the national and local event level with racetracks and promoters, and I'm also a racer myself. My childhood track is not currently operating due to a similar situation. I grew up at the racetrack every weekend. My mom swears to this day that racing keeps me out of trouble. I made the decision back a few years ago to move here. I have no family here, but the racetrack was a strong consideration in moving and building a house closer to the racetrack than the job that I currently work at in Tampa. I met my fiance at this racetrack, and he now works full-time at BMP. This is a second home to many of us, and everyone in this room I know for sure. It is an entertainment venue that is affordable, unlike most other options in the area. As others mentioned, we have seen many tracks closed due to houses being built next to a racetrack. I appreciate the consideration and proposal to have families sign waivers, but how many of these people actually understand what they are signing up for if they've never lived right against a racetrack? This will add issues later down the road. I mean, heck, I'd love some car condos built so I can stay on site, but I can't speak for others. As a non-enthusiast, I would never sign up for something like that, but how would I know what the full ramifications are without actually living it? From the promoter side, it is hard to sell your track to other promoters with restrictions. The biggest opposition that we see is curfew or noise ordinances. Promoters don't want to pay to run their event with strict guidelines and concern for their racers and the success of their event. This is what closes the racetracks. While traveling across the country, putting on events completely outside, everyone, and I mean everyone, knows about our events and our racetracks. We were voted Track of the Year and Promoter of the Year, Victor, in all of drag racing. And travel from everywhere. People travel from everywhere to Manatee County, as everyone else mentioned. We make a bigger impact in this racing industry than people realize, and I urge everyone here to come out and see it for themselves. Thank you for your support in attempting to keep our racetrack no matter what. I hope that you can see the concerns and the reason that so many of us are opposing a racetrack being built right against our racetrack. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, first and last name, county of residence.
Yep.
3 minutes.
Kevin Hanley, Sarasota County. Certainly agree 100% what everybody's saying here today. I wanted to thank you all for your service and the service to our community and our country. Obviously, there's a reason for all the good turnout today. My experience in the community with this racetrack, I think it will be a sentence to death if you do this transmittal. So just think about it as doing a death sentence, because I think that's what it will actually be. I've lived in this area for over 39 years. I met my wife in Manatee County, and if you can remember driving down University Parkway, it was just 2 lanes. I appreciate everything this area has given me, especially my wife. I've on and off gone through racetracks and drag strips throughout my years in living here. More importantly, when I was a kid that moved from New York, feeling like a fish out of water. In short, it gave me a foundation for my life, myself moving through life and helping me become a better part of the community at a young age. As I worked throughout my career, and please believe me, being part of this community and attending the venue, it injects part of the work ethic in my veins. You see a lot of people working their tail off on the thing they love. You see passion, a real community bond. I can honestly go on and on. I now own a very successful real estate group. I am part of moving new and existing residents into these communities. However, I certainly want to be a part of preserving the community I love and we love. We seem to be losing the small things, the big things to some in our community that gave and give them direction, folks, young men, ladies that follow their dreams like Garrett, Cleetus, to be a different type of entrepreneur, revitalizing a track and bringing great people in our community that spend money and enjoy the community that we have enjoyed for years. If you have had the chance to experience what Garrett has brought to the racetrack and our community, I just attended a wonderful event this Saturday. What I saw was a huge crowd, and this is an understatement, a very vibrant atmosphere. Just be the name Freedom Factory, you should have a great understanding of what it's all about. More importantly, I feel these types of venues provide direction for folks that have a passion for motorsport, as well as a dream to be one day following people like Garrett's footsteps. I think we can all agree we are losing folks that have interest in trade. These are the venues that inspire folks through their passion to pursue their dreams, but also provide a service through a trade. These aren't just people driving cars. These are people that have build, create, and you could see it and say it's even an art. I'm not sure if some understand how important these types of places are to our community. I think Garrett and his people have only scratched the surface of what the Freedom Factory can be, as well as the drag strip, of course. Everything cannot be pickleball courts and shuffleboard courts and HOA communities. With that, I know pickleball's huge right now, but racing's better. With that said, I can honestly say a lot more, but please don't let this pass through. Thank you.
Very well said, sir. It shows that you are a realtor. As As a fellow realtor, you get that compliment. Ma'am, first, last name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Shelby Dubois. I am a resident of Pinellas County, and I moved here this past summer mainly because of the Freedom Factory and Bradenton Motorsports Park. I moved here from Salt Lake City, where the track shut down a couple of years ago, and ever since then, street racing has just been off the wall. It's crazy. I don't want to see that here. We all love racing. I oppose this measure. Please keep the racetracks.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Sir, first and last name, your county of residence, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Jordan Young, and I'm a Manatee County resident. I'd just like to say that taking this back down to the basics, we're here talking about this proposed land use change, this change of classification, and really what a lot of the very impassioned people here's comments have led to is an eventual consequence for the track. And I know there's a lot of people here who have delivered some very good, in-depth technical presentations. I'm not going to try to attempt to follow them. I can just give my personal perspective on this as a motorsports enthusiast. I've seen the effects of having this kind of development encroach on a track. I mean, I've been all the way out to Laguna Seca and had my factory Corvette black flagged because of the restrictions that were put on the track due to the local residents who had developed in around the track, as it was a very historic track, just like Bradenton Motorsports. I was at one of the final events at the Palm Beach International Raceway, which is another racing facility that we've recently lost here in Florida. So I would like to say that the vote here today, it's a very technical, a lot of very technical language going into it, but I think that there is a proven history of development being incompatible with the presence of racetracks and even historic racetracks. And the kinds of strategies, I do admit that I'm pleased that there was at least some consideration given by the developers, by the people who proposed this change, in the form of the abatement wall, in the form of a setback. But from what I've seen at racetracks across the country, and these measures will not be sufficient, and there will be conflict, and there will be complaints. And in the long run, it seems like the pattern is that the racetracks lose. Speaking to some of these other points that people have brought up about public safety, in a general sense, yes, the idea that having a legal place, a safe place for our residents to express themselves, to participate in these speed events, I can personally attest that this is effective. I came of age and came into this hobby in the early 2000s when there was a strong street racing, reckless culture, and it was actually the fact that I had joined an organization called Tampa Racing that promoted legal, safe racing at the track. They really kept me out of that and kept me out of a lot of trouble. So, and given the prevalence, at least in the news or of these takeovers, these displays of speed in public intersections, what better place to show off than the Freedom Factory? So I'd like to ask that you deny this request, and I'm opposed. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My name's Tim Salen. I'm a lifelong member of Volusia County. I drove here from Daytona, foregoing my girlfriend's birthday, which is today. Luckily, she's happy with the hotel we found here. No, she's happy with the hotel, so this is a win for everybody. That's fine. So I'm from Daytona Beach. I grew up with motorsports. My father had drag cars when he was a kid. Part of the reason why he moved to Daytona Beach was because of the love of motorsports in that area. Volusia County is lucky enough to have 3 speedways. The community is part and parcel with the speedways in that area, so we don't have this kind of problem. Daytona Beach International Speedway is in the middle of the city. The other ones are on the outskirts. But we understand that Daytona Beach and the areas around it run on gasoline and alcohol, hopefully not at the same time, but they do at the same time. But we have an opportunity in this country to vote with our dollar bills. Money is free speech. And I choose to spend my money here in Bradenton at the Freedom Factory instead of in Daytona Beach or in Volusia County Speedway or New Smyrna Speedway. This is where I come for my motorsports. I also am lucky enough to be in a situation where I am actively looking for a new place to live, to move. And the only place in Florida I am considering is Bradenton. But I will tell you, if this moves forward, I have to wonder if it's worth moving here and starting a racing career of my own if there's a chance that the Motorsport Park and the Freedom Factory will shut down. So, I, like everybody else, in the unbelievable number of people outside that you guys probably don't know how many there are here. Traffic's insane, parking's insane. I've been up in the manatee room watching. We're all against this, as you can tell. The gentleman in the blue suit, I don't remember his name, who is the representative for the applicant, he kept using the word minimum when talking about the barriers. Minimum. I had a couple more feet on top of the minimum. The minimum won't do, and I think we all know this. I used to live 10,000 feet away from the Volusia County, Daytona Beach International Speedway, through a mall, through trees, through other buildings, and it was still insanely loud during the race. And NASCAR isn't really as loud as a drag race. It's a thing. I grew up in Ormond Beach, north of Daytona, and we could mute the TV and hear the race from that far away. Luckily, we as a community like racing. Snowbirds moving down here, buying these planned communities where you put in 3 houses on 1 acre. These people don't want to be near a racetrack, so let's not let them move near a racetrack. Please don't send this through.
Thank you, sir. Well said. First and last name, your county of residence. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name's Devin Nuanis, Hardy County. I just wanted to say that I oppose the zoning permits. I'm so nervous. I'm sorry. That's all.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My name's Edward Rovnak. I am a resident.
Oh, the clerk is looking. Can you repeat that name for us?
Edward Rovnak, Rovnak.
Thank you.
I did move back to Florida. I was originally a Florida resident to be closer to oval racing, which we did not have up in Ohio, and instead we did choose to race on the streets. Probably not the best idea in the world. And I just wanted to make a reference to the current situation going on at the Nashville Fairgrounds. The residents are strongly opposing the renovations to that racetrack currently. I don't know if you guys have kind of done your research on that current project. And I just wanted to say that I don't see these houses going to the everyday Bradenton resident who currently can't afford to buy a house. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Gabino Gutierrez, Lee County. I want to just start off by saying that Garrett and Vic are giant inspirations to a bunch of people that are here today. I think we're downsizing the dangerous outcomes that are going to happen with this racetrack. Eventually, with this movement being pushed forward, it will eventually shut down. No one wants to live next to a racetrack. And I think you guys should keep in mind how many lives, including mine. All of my friends are gearheads. We will hit the streets. This is a culture. I'm not threatening. All I'm saying is these actions have consequences, and we are a strong culture, as you can see. We will do what we do no matter what. I think you guys should take into consideration that we will continue to do this, and sadly lives will be lost, because I've lost a tremendous amount of friends due to the fact that we don't have a safe haven to do what we do. And we should continue to have a safe haven. And I appreciate Garrett and Vic for everything they do to continue this culture on. I oppose this tremendously. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Scott Avoy, Pinellas County, Florida. Thank you to the commission for having us here today. On June 9th of this year, Governor DeSantis signed Florida State House Bill number 399 into law, which further penalizes and criminalizes drag racing on the highways, street racing, drifting, exhibitions of speed, and burnouts. These are all things that are performed legally at the Freedom Factory and Bradenton Motorsports Park. I've raced at 2 drag strips in my life, Atlanta Dragway and Bradenton Motorsports Park. A couple weeks ago, Atlanta Dragway was demolished because of housing expansion. I know we aren't here today because you're voting to close this racetrack. And a lot of you here have stated that you are in full support of this racetrack. The best way to support this racetrack and to show that you really support it is to end this here and now, today, by not passing this forward. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. Thank you, and I oppose.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. And it's 3:30, so we're going to pause and take our break. Just kind of take note of where you are in line. You all are pretty good, honest people. Just sort of reform the same line when you come back. And if you're on the 5th floor in the manatee room, there's about 10 people in line at this point. So maybe you start to make your way down. Yeah, and make sure that if you've spoken once, you only get one opportunity to speak, so you will not be afforded a second. We're going to take a 10-minute recess. We'll resume this meeting at 3:41.
What? Hey man, you did great, bro. I appreciate it, man. Here, man. Bless you, buddy. Yes, sir. Yeah, buddy.
All right, you want this? All right, hang on.
Can you get a speaker, please?
Where is it?
What's up, guys? What's going on? They are in a 10-minute recess. I believe they are lining up in there, and just gave a couple cards to some of the speakers that were coming out. When they speak, they're leaving. So I'm hoping to get a couple of them when they come out after they speak. So that's what we're here for, is the support and to spread the word that things like this, when it happens, it puts a damper on a lot of things. So like, okay, yeah, a lot of people would like to have newer homes, but it's common sense. You don't put it right next to a racetrack, guys. You just don't do it. Don't do it. Simple. I mean, last night when I was doing one of those videos, I was eating, and damn road was right by the restaurant, and there was a fence right there, and I was trying to talk. I could not think what to say in the video when these cars were going by, and I'm like, dude, seriously? These are just normal cars going by. So yeah, racetrack, come on now, let's get real. So yeah, they are at a 10-minute recess right now. We're gonna go ahead and get back to that stream and restream it. We are out in front of where they are located. I do have my mic, but I keep forgetting. But Nick, can you hold this, please? So anyhow, so we are out front. I do not want to put the camera right into someone's face. I'm just not that way. But I will set the camera up and allow people to come out, and if they do want to speak, they can. But I did speak to McFarland earlier at the first recess, just letting them know that we are here to support. We want to basically allow people to see it, and it stinks that I cannot bring the camera into, in there. But they can have it, you know what I mean? So it's pretty under fair, I was about to say, but that don't even make sense. I'm under fair, but no. But yeah, that would be cool if I could go in there, but nope. Sorry, they told me can't do it, can't pass go, do not collect $200. So I gotta do the old school way and restream it, and to be able to put it out like that. So definitely. So we're just gonna go ahead and hopefully this 10-minute recess can go through, and they can actually have the results after, and then everybody can hopefully, I mean, so far guys, I mean, 500 people, we got 200 people up top, and say 150 down below, maybe 200, I mean, a couple hundred outside. So I would say 500 people total. Nice truck, man. Yes, sir. That's the guy that right here got a badass truck, man. But yeah, so definitely a lot of people here to support, and that's what it's all about, guys. It's all about support, coming together. That's a bad boy right there. That was a bad boy. So we did have a big old rainstorm. We did have tornado warning about maybe an hour ago or so, maybe mostly the whole morning. I know I'm just rambling, guys, because you know we're a 10-minute recess and nobody's out here. They're waiting in line. They don't want to lose their line, guys. So just wanted to, you know, so you guys aren't staring at a blue screen. So 4-5, yep. What up, Jimbo? What's good? What's good? Yeah, everyone in here, thank you so much for coming in and participating in this live. It means the world to White House family, White House America family. We are going all over. We're gonna go to different things. I did see in the comment, someone did ask about going to one of these races. Well, we're only about 50 minutes from the racetrack, so we will be, it depends, guys, because they do pay-per-view matches, and I don't want to live stream something that you have to pay for and the money goes to them. So what I would do is record it and then put it up. But I will always ask if I can live stream, because I am a live streamer. I don't like cutting things, but if I have to, you know, to make a good video, I would have to do that. But if they will allow us to go live stream out there, I would love to go out there and live stream. You know, give you guys some good stuff, what they do out there. I mean, I saw a couple of videos. I'm like, dude, got some burnouts, man. Man, I saw there's one. They had a car, and it was, I guess they call it a wheelie car. And I was like, damn. And then they had one of the mechanics jump in it, and he drove it. And he went over the corner, knocked out a fence, and flipped it upside down. Drove it one time, wrecked it, couple $1,000 gone. I mean, it would be nice just throw money away like that. But hey, that'll be the day. All right, time to go blow up some shit. Boom. Yeah, boy. Time to blow up some things. Hopefully you guys like that firework demonstration. We had a video a couple days ago. We got more of that to come as well. I'm gonna go buy some mortars and blow up some shit. Hold up, I'm gonna turn this around. We got some live action over there. That guy's acting like a fool. Look. Over there yelling at people. What y'all fancying about? That was funny right there. But yeah, he was over there throwing his hands up. I'm like, damn, I missed it. But you know, I caught him a little bit. I caught some of these races if we can. I know they do charge to get in, so we're gonna work on that and try to get things covered so we can cover some races. Babe, I need, I'm losing gas on here. Sorry guys on that, I had to spit. It's back here, I got it. I'm gonna have to put you guys in the old Jimbo. Thanks to Jimbo. Big shout out to Jimbo. He hooked me up with this tripod because people like to break them sometimes, you know what I mean? People like to break my my tripods. You know, nobody has. Hey Nick, you gave me the wrong one. I need the other one. No, it doesn't. It does? Well, let me see that other one, because it's supposed to be a charger. It's what. Oh. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Had hold on. No speed. Hold on. All right. Let me know if there's a speaker. Can you hear me? Roger. Yeah, that's one thing I'll tell you. Wow, I'll be darn diddly dang right there, boy. I can sit it like this, no hands. Or I mean, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Anyways, be right back. Can you put this on the side? And can you let me know when they are? Wow. All right, wow, that's crazy. 10 minutes is up. 10 minutes is up. We are back in session.
We have residents of 3 minutes. My name is Dylan Cooksey. I'm a Highlands County resident. And the reason I'm here today is because I oppose this application because it is incompatible. Thank you.
You have to flip the camera.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Marcos Flores, Hills.
To oppose.
Can you plug this in?
Thank you, sir.
15 seconds.
Calvin Hudson, to oppose as well. Thank you, sir.
Mitchell Viverka, Sarasota County, and I'm here to oppose.
What was that last name?
Viverka, V's and Victor.
Viverka. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Tiffany Moore, Hillsborough County, Florida, and I oppose.
Thank you, ma'am.
Reed Miller, Hillsborough County, Florida, and I oppose.
Thank you, sir.
Carlos Negron, Polk County, Florida. I reside in Polk County. I was actually married 2.5 miles from the racetrack. Some would say that our rehearsal was ruined by the sound of the engines. After our rehearsal, that's where we spend the rest of our night, at the racetrack. We go there quite a bit. We like to attend all of their events. I strongly oppose the sanctions that they're trying to put in place. And there's no way that they're going to be able to emit the sound that these cars are putting out. So I just want to say that I oppose.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Hernandez. I'm a Manatee County resident. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I also head multiple nonprofits in the area that provide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
Trying to find housing is a near impossible task all the time. However, in this, everyone's speaking about noise. At the levels that these vehicles make, 150 decibels, they're no longer noises. They're waves.
I was about to
that
run
can
out
cause
of
heart
gas.
palpitations, heart disease, and many other chronic diseases. Even with a wall that's 25
Like us
feet
America's
high,
problems.
the distance of the houses would have to be at least 2,000
Can you
feet
guys hear?
away
Let me
from
know if
this
you can hear.
racetrack to not be over 85 decibels, which is, by the CDC, the level that extended periods of
Did you just say
85
CDC?
decibels or more would cause these diseases. So it's not just that it would disrupt people's lives, it would actually ruin people's lives, potentially kill people, and it would be a safety hazard to put houses this close to this drag strip. Not saying that these houses shouldn't be developed at some point, that people do need houses, they do. They just need to be done with proper scientific testing to make sure that these houses are at a safe distance from this drag strip. And at this point, with their proposal, they've taken no scientific testing to make sure that what they're doing is providing housing for people that would be sustainable. Thank you very much for your time.
Good. All right.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Chris Paliuka from Polk County, and I just wanted to say I oppose.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Jared Milhausen, and I'm here from
Mayaca City, and I'm just here to oppose.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is George Siciliano. I'm a resident of Hernando County. I work in Manatee County. Gonna move here one day. Just can't pick out which house I want to buy. So
We had a realtor in the room just a minute ago. I don't know
yeah,
where
he
went.
seems like too good of a salesman. The property being changed to UF3 is incompatible with the surrounding and adjacent properties. We respectfully ask the Board of County Commissioners to do one thing today that makes a difference, and that is to not transmit this amendment solely based on incompatibility. It makes sense to build homes next to homes, racetracks next to racetracks. It's probably why SeaWorld is next to Busch Gardens or whatever they got over there. So makes no sense to put 4,500 homes next to a racetrack. Commissioners, just like Cleetus said, best way to put it, if I applied today to rezone some ag land to build two massive racetracks next to 4,500 homes, the answer would clearly be no. So putting 45 homes next to an established racetrack would obviously make absolutely no sense. It's very incompatible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Sam Langford. I live here in Manatee County. And these guys have stolen most of my thunder already. But I'll say this. This decision is in your hands. Doesn't have to leave the room. And what we provide is entertainment. What the American public is looking for, especially here in county, is entertainment. And we do a pretty good job of it. What I would say also is I don't oppose the housing thing, just not here. Dirt is dirt. They can take it down south, many other places around. We've got supportive arguments all over the place. Not looking to make anybody mad. I'm just saying. The coexistence would be have them build in another place, just as well, and have all of those homes there, and leave us alone. Let us have what we have, and we'll continue the good entertainment that we're providing. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Sean Steenstra. I'm in Manatee County. I oppose.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward for public comment at this time?
Wow, hit them all up.
Okay, seeing no one, and we know that the Manatee room was emptied, cleared out during our recess. So we're going to close public comment at this time. And we have two commissioners on the board to speak, and it's Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you. I just want to cover, clearly not all of the comments made, but at least some to give some things in context here. We're up here with always with the task of tough decisions, and we always have to figure out endless conflict. Different things don't comply with other things, and we need to figure out how best to make it work for everybody and try to do our best to make sure it's not a zero-sum game. And that's kind of where the presentations have been to us, as it's zero-sum. If you build houses, there's no racetrack. If you leave the racetrack, don't have houses. It's not always that simple, because we're also under the order to follow our comp plan, our land development code. We're also under the orders of the United States and the state of Florida to allow for private property rights. And some people, a few people, including one towards the end, came up and said, dirt is dirt, take it someplace else, build. Mr. Taylor can't move his land someplace else. He owns that land where it is today. It's not mobile. And they farmed that land for years and years, and now they're looking to monetize that particular piece of land. And unfortunately, yes, there's a racetrack there. But I think what you can all look upon favorably here is you have put your heart and soul into this, and this board typically would have moved something like this through and been done with it. But you can clearly see a concern for the racetrack and a desire to work with you to make sure this is a ongoing concern. We appreciate what you do for Manatee County. We want you to remain in Manatee County and continue doing it, but we can't do it at the expense just of somebody else's property. It's not my property to voluntarily not develop, and it's not my job and role in life to tell someone they can't use their property, because we heard numbers. I know most recently we heard, maybe it was Nicholas say 2,000 feet away, but at the beginning we heard 3,000 feet away. That was the buffer we were told to qualify for a vacuum cleaner noise. Well, 3,000 feet away, just to give you some context, because I ran the numbers, is the equivalent on a semicircle basis around the track of 325 acres. To create the buffer for this racetrack, we would have to tell a private citizen that they have to not use 325 acres of their private property to build upon to create a buffer for noise for somebody else's facility. That's not something we, from a legal standpoint, can require somebody to do, because everyone has to kind of work together, and the onus is on them to handle this racetrack. That's why we instructed staff to work to put together the proper special permitting and zoning prior to general development plan so that they can adhere to it.
Racetrack was there.
You look at some other raceways. I know these aren't direct compatible, but I was looking up aerials because somebody showed an aerial of this property. Indianapolis Speedway is almost 100% surrounded by residences, to a point where the northeast corner of it on turn 3 literally is cut off from where there stands because there's a house there. I mean, there's houses all around it. Daytona, and I used to go to Daytona for every Daytona 500 and every Pepsi 400 back when it was Pepsi 400 before that firecracker. Right across the street used to be some old motels and some crappy stuff. Now you have nice retail there, but immediately behind that you have apartments and houses. Certainly not 3,000 feet away. There's compatibility, and there's just an acceptance of being surrounded by the noise and by the racetrack, and that's what these homeowners are going to have to deal with this developer, and the developers have to deal with it.
Yeah, but it's a small racetrack.
I always say, people pay for what they get, and if you're making noise, then this developer is going to have to make these homes more affordable to find people who want that noise. And I can assure you, these developers don't build things that are affordable. So, they're going to stay further away and build the buffers that adhere to this. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. I appreciate what you're saying. I certainly appreciate all of you coming here. We've allowed everyone to speak, and hopefully everyone's been paying attention, giving you the benefit of the doubt to listen. And we are going to do what we can. I can promise you that from this dais, to work with Garrett, to work with his team, to work with everyone to make sure this is an ongoing concern in the long run, and do what we can as Manatee County to keep this as a tourist destination. But we can't do it solely at the detriment of somebody else. That's just not what we can legally do up here.
Why not?
Okay, Commissioner Bearden and Commissioner Satcher are on the board. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank everybody for coming out today. What this showed me today was people who really believe in something. And that means a lot. And, when we have businesses that are bringing over 200,000 people a year into Manatee County, and that's just within the last couple of years because, this is essentially a brand new business.
Yeah, J. Paul.
We need to stop a second and look at that situation as a whole.
Votes, yes.
And because over time, this is going to increase, not just from 200,000. Next year, it might be 400,000. The year after that, it might be 800,000, and then 1 million. And so I want to ensure that this track is always going to be protected, no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I want to look at every possible solution. I want to make sure that both landowners maybe can come up with an agreement on what they could possibly do together. So I want to make a motion to table this decision for the future and see if we can table this and look at a different situation of how both parties can make this work.
Amen.
Okay, so your motion fails for lack of a second. Commissioner Satcher and Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Satcher.
I'm interested in the conversation with the attorney. Is that a
Well, I wasn't
legitimate
clear.
option at this point?
I thought you were just laying it on the table, your floor. We actually. Okay, well,
He made the motion, and no one seconded
we
it.
have to. Okay, well, I was just continue no day certain re-advertise it, which is
Yeah,
same
well-
thing, but okay.
My question to her was, did we need to continue to a date certain? But no one seconded your motion, so it failed.
Wow, so his motion failed.
Well, if there's no second, I'll just leave it at that.
There we go.
somebody else.
Right. Commissioner
There's
Satcher.
no second, so something to discuss.
still don't even have an accurate motion. So would you like to say
Well-
so moved to her motion, to her
Well, I was
wording
also-
of your idea?
Okay, hold on,
I was
Commissioner,
also-
hold on. Commissioner Satcher has the floor. You want to hear from the county attorney?
I would like to hear, accomplish Commissioner Bearden's goal. What motion would he need to make? And let's see if he says so moved, and then we'll see if there's a second. That's what I would like to first take my time for.
Is that on for sure?
It is on.
Okay, well, procedurally, I just had a point that we normally allow staff closing comments and applicant rebuttal, because there's been a number of testimony here, and the applicant may wish to respond to that.
Sure.
And then close the public comment in that portion of it. And if such a motion along the lines of what was stated is made, it would be preferable to say a motion to continue the deliberation portion of the public hearing. You can say to a certain date, or you can say to no, it better say to a certain date, and then it comes back
Okay.
to a staff
So
report.
within 30 days.
So it'll be January 15,
Correct.
or within 30 days.
Within 30 days.
So we have a meeting on the 10th, I believe. I don't know if we could advertise it in time.
Or at the next land use meeting.
And negotiate. Oh,
It's pretty tight.
Can I just
Okay, so
interject?
let's dialogue. When would be the best time to do this?
I think we would defer to the county attorney. What I'd like to do is, we had public comment, we've closed public comment. Procedurally, I'd like to now hear from commissioners who are wanting to respond to public comment. And when we're finished with that, allow the applicant to respond to public comment. And then we'll open this up to discussion and debate, and that would, I think, would be the appropriate time to entertain motions. That also gives our attorney the opportunity to come up with some answers for you as well. Okay, so why don't we continue through commissioners' responses to public comment. Commissioner Satcher, you have the floor, sir.
But there will be further commission debate in the future, you're
Yes, so
saying,
we will
procedurally.
respond to public comment. We'll allow the applicant to respond to public comment, and then we'll come back for discussion and debate amongst ourselves, at which time we would entertain motions.
I guess it doesn't matter much when I do say this. I just want to say to, everyone in this room, not everyone, but most of the people in this room, this may be your first time here, and second after planning commission, but we do this, often and a lot. And so I recognize that I'm speaking to, residents and then people that are influenced by this particular project. And then I have the district that's growing the fastest, right? Most of the development is going in District 1. And so I do always try to speak to what comes in the future. And I'll just say that, not that I'm committing a vote one way or the other, but my vote was definitely this would be a harder decision if some of the negotiations and the things that were coming before us were a little bit different, and specifically, buffers and those types of things. And I understand that the opposition wants nothing, but I'm just saying it's a lot easier to just vote against this when it just doesn't seem like there was a reasonable effort to address their concerns. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. I have no other commissioners on the board for discussion or debate at this time. So I'm going to give the applicant an opportunity to come down and respond to public comment.
So that would be the.
Yeah, the person, yeah.
So it's sort of
Mr. Chair,
like-
Kyle Grimes, again for the record. Sorry?
You saying we could strap a jet engine and a racing stripe on that scooter of yours? Take you out to the track.
I get here a little quicker.
Oh, he's
And
handicapped.
clearly, with all of this public comment, the overwhelming concern here is the racetrack. And again, as I mentioned in my presentation, but want to assure that our client is fully supportive of doing things that's necessary to keep that there. As Nicole spoke to, that they have that special permit in place and talked about looking at ways to do that administrative determination or things to strengthen that special permit to assure that it stays there. We agree, and we're willing to help assist in that manner. And right now, we have still another month before the GDP comes up, and that's where we, set in our requirements for things like notice to owners and what we're going to put in our deeds. Would certainly look at including provisions like that cross-reference those special permits and those exceptions. And so we are in support of that. We, like Commissioner Cruz said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a this or that, and that is what we've been working with our client on. What our client has been planning for is to try and create a method that these can coexist, and that is through this plan development residential process where we're providing those increased buffers. And while I know and I understand that it's not going to stop and completely shut off the noise, we get that, but it is a mitigation measure paired with these notice provisions and whatever additional protections that can be put in place on the race course to let people know that are moving into this area that yes, this is a established use here and it's not going anywhere. And then we have those additional mitigating measures with the berm and wall height and trees and things like that, just to assist in that. But really, getting the support of the county as well for the racetrack, we would be in support of that.
Katie Labar, Stantec, representing Lakewood Ranch. Just very quickly, speaking to the buffer width, our proposal for a minimum of 84 feet is really a function of providing that berm. You have to, there has to be a certain slope for the berm, and so because there has to be a certain slope, there has to be a certain distance, and so that's really, it was that providing a wall at 10 feet at a slope of 4 to 1 requires 84 feet in distance. And so that's what was driving that. It wasn't disingenuous. It was truly a mathematical equation of how high do you have to get up and how far do you have to go to get up and how far do you have to go to get down. And in doing that, you're providing that physical separation. Then you have the wall on top of that. And so just wanted to make that clarifying point that there was thought given to that. The rationale behind that was based on science. I also just wanted to clarify for the record, during public comment, I did some measurements, and so I just wanted to provide those just so that, again, the record is very clear. From our property line, and I'm measuring from the property line of the Taylor property to the edge of the circle track, we're talking about 550 feet. From the corner of our property to the drag strip, about 350 feet. And then, from the northernmost corner of our property to the drag strip, 1,000 feet. That doesn't take into account the buffer at all on our property or the rear lot lines to the residential buildings. But I think that it gives you a sense of that physical separation from the activities. And again, I wanted to make sure that the record was clear on that point.
So they're only putting it in the corner.
With that, we again believe that this application is in full compliance with your comprehensive plan and land development code. The applications that were prepared and presented to this to staff and that were evaluated by staff meet all of the requirements. And again, we ask that you transmit this application to the state, give the state an opportunity to review it, provide comments. We have work to do between now and bringing the GDP forward, and we'll certainly do that between now and then. Thank you very much.
What about the people? People comes first, not your money.
Thank you. All right, the order of the board is Cruz, Baugh, Bearden, Satcher. Commissioner Cruz.
So we're up to deliberation and discussions.
Yes, sir. We're deliberation and discussions among commissioners, and if you choose to ask anyone questions,
I'll be quick. I think I've said enough. A lot of this has to, and Katie just came up and showed us the measurements with the buffers and so forth. The reality is, when we bought a landfill or built the landfill, we had to buy the excess land to create a buffer because of the negative impacts of a landfill. 50 years ago, when you built the racetrack, obviously they did not require a buffer to consider future development. This racetrack's been in existence for over 50 years or close to 50 years. So it's run a good course, but it didn't require a buffer. Maybe that's unfortunate, but that's the case. I mean, if we're making this implication that these racetracks provide deadly noise, where somebody said you could literally have your house shake and your heart could stop because of the noise if you're close enough to this thing, well, I'll remind you right now, this second, without anyone showing up here, they can build one house per 5 acres. As of right, this exact minute, they can go out and put hundreds of houses out there. Some of them literally buffer it without a berm, without a wall. They could slap houses directly next to this property, and all the people living in those houses apparently would die from noise. But we can't stop it because we didn't require a buffer on there. We can't hold them to 1970s policies relative to buffers around noise. So, I'll just remind you of that. And talking about tabling this, I hear what you're saying, but we also have to remember, while we all know, and everyone here knows, because that's how things work, eventually we're going to be talking about a site plan, and how that site plan looks is going to be up to us to determine if it's quote-unquote compatible with this motor speedway. We are not discussing a site plan today. We're not discussing a general development plan today. We're simply discussing, in concept, could somebody eventually come back to us and present a site plan based upon a UF3 zoning? To table a basic transmittal request for a basic zoning restriction and require them to go and negotiate effectively the future site plan, I think is outside the scope of what this discussion is supposed to be today. And I think that's going to put us in a bad position if we're requiring them to leapfrog over this transmittal to start working on the next stage of it ahead of time. I just don't see how this board is in a position to be asking that of anybody at this stage in this process.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Baugh.
I'd almost rather not say anything, but it's not an option. It's a very tough position to be in today, because some of the things that Commissioner Cruz said, I totally agree with. It's not within the realm of this board to talk about what they're actually going to quote unquote build today. That's the truth. But at the same time, I also know Mr. Taylor. Obviously, I'm very familiar with SMR. And I know, and this is what's really kind of grabbing me on all of this, is that, I've seen SMR build a beautiful community. I've seen the polo grounds that SMR built that are so successful today. Big difference, however, between polo and a racetrack. But that being said, what a great thing, Mr. Taylor. If you had the opportunity, you and SMR, to work with a racetrack, there's a lot of people that probably want to live very close to that racetrack. Just saying. I don't know that that's feasible. He's giving me the thumbs up, so you know. I don't know that that's feasible, but I look at Cleetus and I know what he's been able to accomplish. Very successful. Oh, well, I wish I can't talk to you about it, but the point is, there could be a great opportunity, not just for the racetrack, but for Manatee County as a whole. But we don't know that today. And I can't go on that pretense because I don't know. What I do know is that I'm not sure what they want to bring forward to actually do. I have not been privy to that. And I don't know that this board will go with it or not go with it. So that means that I think everyone sees how this board is feeling and how everybody should understand that that racetrack comes first. It has to. It's been there over 50 years. I mean, good grief. If anything, Manatee County generally does stand for its history, and we try to take care of our history. So, that being said, I will probably vote to move this to the state.
Well,
However, don't take that so seriously. What that means is I want to see what's going to come back. I can't be closed-minded. I don't have the ability to do that.
what?
But what I will tell you is I'd better see something showing me that that racetrack is going to be protected everybody could work together and make it even better than what it is. If that's possible, great. I think that's probably legally where we have to be right now. I don't think we have really a choice, from what I've heard. I'm not happy about it, not at all. I want my racetrack protected. It's in my district. It's very important to me. It's more important to me than building 4,500 homes. So please, y'all do what you can before it comes back here again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. So the order of the board is Satcher, Van Osten Bridge, Ballard, and Bearden. Commissioner Satcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After hearing more and looking into this, always for land use, I like to think, we're looking for, in an ideal situation, we're looking for homes next to homes, businesses next to businesses. We understand there have to be areas of transition between the two, but this doesn't seem like that. As far as people's, land rights, I wouldn't, I'm not, obviously, as of right, as Commissioner Cruz said, right now it can do 1 per 5 acres. I am not necessarily arguing with 3 per 1 acre. I'm talking about where those actual homes are built. And then the other thing is, I would like to see what our plan is to protect things in the future before we make this vote. And with that, I will make the motion to table until the date that the county attorney get land.
A second.
Oh, yeah, I was pulling up.
Maybe first land use in February, would that be?
So you can
Sorry.
make the motion.
I did.
Oh, he already put it in.
They did it automatically.
Okay.
Well,
Ms. Shank?
Yeah, I was pulling up your new count, which was approved today, so I was trying to look that up. Your land use meetings in January 19th, it's one meeting. In February, your February 2nd, February 16th. And rather than use the word table, like I said, I prefer to say I move to continue deliberations to, and then put a certain date in there, and then say what you expect to be brought back. And the more general we keep it, the better, address a plan. The applicant's supposed to submit this stuff. The applicant submit a plan of how they're going to achieve compatibility. Keep it general. And when the applicant said they were adding all this buffer stuff to this text amendment, I had some concerns. Like Commissioner Cruz said, it's too detailed. I mean, I'd be fine if you just transmit it the way they initially proposed and take out all this buffer stuff. This is legislative. It might hurt us in a future legal challenge. We have this specific site planning in a comp plan amendment. So I'm just throwing that out. Then it doesn't tie us to these buffers, because suppose that the site plan hearing, the buffers are different and we're inconsistent with our own plan that we just passed, So I'd rather take that out and just leave it the way initially proposed. So the handout, just don't include the underline. That's one option. I'm just throwing that out as an option.
So I will, February 2nd as the date. So moved as the county attorney stated.
Madam Clerk, you need clarification?
So
Okay, hold on. Let's go to the county attorney.
so my understanding, Commissioner Satcher is making a motion to continue deliberations on Council Plan Amendment PA 2109, Ordinance 2311, SMR Taylor Ranch LLC, to the land use meeting of February 2nd at 9:00 a.m. as soon after this may be heard. And he can state what he's hoping to be brought back, but that's how I got so far.
Madam Clerk, do you need more clarification? Do I need the first and the seconder to agree, the motioner and the seconder to agree to your statement? Ms. Shank?
Yes, and it requires clarification. If they want anything specific brought back, they should state in the motion.
So the motioner agrees and the seconder also agrees. Okay. Commissioner Satcher, you still have the floor.
I think my overall points I've made. I'm pro-business. I'm not trying to take density away from this person. I'm not trying to take their land rights or make it where they can't. They've been a good farmer here in our county, and so I want to respect that. But I would like to see some more assurance, so that's why I made that motion. And
That's all. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So the order of the board is Van Ostenbridge, Ballard, Bearden, Cruz, Baugh. You're a long way down, ma'am, but you are on there. So I'm not going to vote in favor of tabling this. I agree. I really like your suggestion, Madam County Attorney, to eliminate the buffer requirements, because we still have to approve a site plan. And so, like she said, it's almost like, not that I'm sure that the attorney for the applicant would ever do this, but if they're concerned that we might require a larger buffer, in the end, they throw out a slightly bigger buffer now, try to lock us in on that today, and then we're unable to expand it later down the road. So I like your idea of taking the buffer out, because it's possible that we could get an even larger buffer in there ourselves further down the road. So I like that suggestion. I think you've heard pretty clear from this board that we're going to do everything we can to protect the racetrack and ensure its existence going into the future. And I stand behind that. As long as I'm up here, I'll continue to fight for the racetrack.
You know what I mean? They could end
said,
it right now.
The tabling of this and kicking the can down the road, there's no purpose behind that. I don't see the point in that, because this is going to go to the state, has to come back for approval, and that's when we'll see the site plan, all those sort of things. So all these things that we seem concerned about for the purpose of tabling it, you're going to have an opportunity at a later date to address all of those issues and those concerns. Today is not the day that we address those concerns. And if we table the transmittal, which is what we're doing now, when we come back in February or January or whatever the date you proposed was, that's not going to be the appropriate time to address those concerns either. That will still be the date that we approve or deny the transmittal. That's what we're here for today, the transmittal. We have to make difficult decisions in this job all the time, but you have to man up and you make the decision. You don't kick the can down the road for another day. You decide. So either vote yes or vote no, wherever you stand. That's what you have to do. You get paid, you got to do it. Commissioner Ballard.
I agree with Commissioner Van Ostenbridge on several of his points. I do think that we are tasked with making the difficult decisions and not just kicking the can down the road. I will also say that some of the things that we are concerned about are more appropriately addressed at the site plan step versus this step. I also agree with Commissioner Baugh. I would love to see the type of community that can coexist, and not just that, but wants to coexist with
But
this
that's
track.
impossible.
I think it's paramount that the track is protected. We, as a board, I think everyone is up here expressing today, and I believe that everyone is genuine, that we want to ensure the protection of this track into the future, and we will do whatever we can at the county level to get that done. I can't vote in favor of tabling today. When and if we get to the site plan step, I will want to see some significant assurances from the developer that they are making efforts to coexist
That's
with
ridiculous.
the racetrack.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason why, I wanted to table this is because I want to ensure that our private property rights on both properties are protected. Okay? Economically, we do need more homes. The reason why home prices are so high right now is because of supply and demand issues. Okay?
We just had
And that affects the whole economy as a whole in Manatee County. If we don't have more homes to provide for people who are moving here, 1,000, 2,000 people a day, then we faced major issues. Why? Because things begin to increase economically, meaning we have to supplement the cost of living.
Building them houses
And
is
that
not going to
means
lower prices.
hourly
It's
wages
freaking-
increase,
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
else increases behind
Makes
that.
no sense.
4,500
But the reason
houses
why
are
I
gonna
wanted to
lower
table this
prices.
is because
You
I
know,
want to
they're just
ensure
gonna
we had a
charge up
measure
every
put
year
in
for that.
place that protects that track, essentially. That's the reason.
That's crazy.
And so I don't necessarily see that right now, So that's the reason why I want to make sure that happens. We do need more homes. Everybody in this room right now can agree with me that we need more homes, right? We need more homes for everybody that's coming down here to see the track and then possibly want to live here, right? We need more homes. And in Lakewood Ranch, that's where we're growing.
Wanting to move here. Remember how that guy
We can't grow out west necessarily. We're growing out east. So, this is a very hard decision, but
No, it's not. You
I
already
want to
had
make
that
sure
decision.
that track is protected because that's what I said an oath to, right? Is to ensure that the Constitution is protected. And if I don't see that, I can't move forward with that. And I just don't feel comfortable with that right now.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
up.
Commissioner Cruz.
All right, I 100% do not support tabling this because it almost legally doesn't make sense. Here's the thing: when you're going to table something and spend people's time, first off, everyone's time who came here today, which you're basically saying thanks, but we're just going to kick this down the road for 2 months. Enjoy your holidays, or the current owner of the property, or the owner of the restaurant, and say, we're just going to wait 2 months. You better have a rational reason as to what you're going to accomplish in that time period. And if you don't, then don't do it.
What are you talking about?
I hear what people are saying about we want to make sure the racetrack's
Yeah,
right.
he wants
We
to go
can't
ahead and
tie
enter it.
a transmittal on
And
one
he wants
person's
to enter
property
to
with
go ahead and
assurance
pass
of
it.
somebody
That's
else's
it.
property. They're two entirely different properties owned by two entirely different people. You can't do that. You can't say, go and speak to the neighboring property and resolve things before we transmit a simple zoning request to the state. We are not here to discuss. We've had this conversation. We're not here to discuss the site plan. They can come back to us February 2nd and say, we promised to build, well, we think we're going to build one church dead smack in the middle. That's all we're doing, but we want UF3 just in case. You know what? They can come back after that transmittal and say 3 houses per acre, because you can't hold them to what they say during that point in time. The UF3 is the UF3. They know what's needed here. They're not stupid developers. They're very good and very successful developers. And believe me, there's no love lost between me and this property. I was the one who voted not to transmit this the first time. But it's been transmitted. My job is to follow the comp plan. UF3 has a lot of uses on a very large parcel of land. I would love to see them say, let's take some of the commercial and build all those restaurants surrounding this racetrack as the buffer, because then everyone who goes to this racetrack, 200,000 people a year, have a place to eat. Maybe you slap a little hotel there. Maybe you put all kinds of other things. Maybe you put your retention ponds there, and then, kind of gives people the reminder of the, midfield of Daytona. Who knows what their plan's going to be? But we don't know what their plan's going to be until we see their plan. And we're not going to see their plan until we transmit this, regardless of how long we wait. No matter what we do on February 2nd, there's nothing we can hold them to other than, are you going to build in accordance with UF3? So I don't see what we're going to accomplish between now and then, which is why I don't want to waste anyone's time between now and then. That's why I will not vote to table this.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Baugh.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm not talking about tabling. What I am saying is that this does need to go ahead and go to the state, get that part over with, and then it comes back to us and we'll get to work.
Against it.
That's what we need to do. And no decision can be made until that happens. Yay or nay.
What?
So the bottom line is, you've got the word compatibility. That's a tough word when you're talking about houses in a racetrack.
Really.
But you've also, you got buffers,
But I thought they had
and
more
you've got
power for their own government, for
the
their own.
situation that the main thing
city.
at hand here is not 4,500 homes. It's protecting the racetrack. We do have that right
Unless
to do that.
they have all that money.
But we can't do it until we know what we're dealing with. So I'm not going to vote to table it. I think we're just putting off the inevitable. You're not going to have anything definite that you can even hold waiting until February the 2nd. We need to know what we're dealing with, first of all. So
We can make it.
let it go to the state. Then it comes back here. Then we'll play some hardball to get it protected the best that it can be, because that's what is important at this time. I think staff has an idea. I know that, Nicole, we've talked to her about what we're looking for. I know the county attorney's office will be looking into this. We need to figure out what's going on there that we can do. And working with the racetrack, I think that's very important. They have my support. And then I know Mr. Taylor, and I also know he's a good man, and he's going to try to do the right thing as well. So let's send it to the state, get it back, and we get to work.
That's crazy.
And we're going to do what we need to do to get the best results. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think there's anyone up here on this dais that doesn't agree that we're going to protect this racetrack.
Right.
We can protect it through deed restrictions. We can protect it, put language into deeds. We can do ordinances. We can do special exemptions, those type of things. So this racetrack is going to be protected. What I would like to encourage is, and one, I'm not going to vote to table it. I agree that this needs to be transmitted up. But what I would like to encourage is the racetrack, its owners, property owners to get together prior to the February 2nd.
So he
maybe come back with some
agreements
agreements that they can live with. We do have to come back from, housing is an issue. The average price house in Manatee County today is $525,000. Not a lot of people in this room can afford that. We do have a housing crisis in Manatee County. We need to expand our opportunities for housing, for folks to come live here. There are a lot of folks here in this room today that said they'd like to move here and live here. Well, unless you can stroke $525,000 for a mortgage,
live here.
I mean, it's going to be tough to do that in Manatee County today.
Even
and it
if
affects
they
all of us, not
even
just
if they put
people in the room, but it affects all
$4,500,
the
I
citizens of Manatee
guarantee
County
you the
today.
price will still be
But I
the
would like
same
to
and it's going to
encourage the
still be hard
applicant
to afford.
and the racetrack to get together.
They
I
act
will
like
tell
putting
you,
these
I will stand up here
4,500
and defend this
houses on here
racetrack
are
up and
going to
down
lower
and
prices.
make sure that it's preserved. I was out there when I was a little kid. My uncles took me
because
out
there's
there
more
to
people that
watch
have
races.
supply and
So I
demand.
appreciate that. I'm a lot older. I'm probably as old as the racetrack.
With everything
But
else.
I appreciate the
Gas,
opportunity.
food.
Oh, I am older than the racetrack. Thank you very much for reminding me of that. But I would like to encourage staff, county attorneys, and staff to let's put some real teeth into an ordinance and make sure that our track is protected. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to take myself off the board. I pretty much said what I need to say. So there's no other commissioners on the board at this time. We move forward with the vote on tabling the item, which is before you now. And the way it's written in front of you now is not, keep in mind, that's not the clerk's official, documentation of the ordinance, so it doesn't always match, and sometimes it's sort of cliff notes as well. So this one doesn't perfectly match, but that's okay. This is not the
clerk's. You can go to the worst or you can go good. You know what I mean?
Can I just request that?
Well, we're voting, sir.
That it at least says table.
We're voting, sir.
It's recorded, and people can see what's written here.
Sir, we're voting. You don't have the floor.
Commissioner, not sir, on this dais.
Commissioner, you are not recognized. We are conducting a vote.
Wow.
Okay, so the vote fails by a vote of 5-2. Commissioner Satcher, you have the floor, sir.
Wow.
Don't have anything else to say.
Okay.
That was already
Thank
what
you,
I was
sir.
asking you to do. You already refused to do. It's a
We
simple
are now
request.
entertaining motions.
I make a motion to approve. It's not on my screen.
And Commissioner Cruz, just clarify, are you approving?
I'll clarify that
which text
I'm
amendment?
fine with the berms in there. If you think it's better without it, I'm fine without it, because at the end of the day, they have to present a site plan to us. And
Okay. So you're making a motion to approve as written, sir?
yes.
Okay. Can we get that on the screen, please?
To be as initially written in the agenda memo.
So moved.
Is that motion somewhere?
He's working on it right now.
Let's make sure we
That's
clear.
crazy.
So a motion
man.
to approve by Commissioner Cruz,
This whole
seconded by
fucking
Commissioner
country's
Baugh.
corrupt.
Okay. There are no commissioners on the board. We can vote at this time. And it passes by a vote. Oh, Commissioner Baugh abstained. You're not allowed to do that.
No, trust me, I didn't.
Choose.
I can't.
We're going to have to pull it up again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. Yes.
She intends to vote yes.
Wow.
Interesting that staff can vote for us. Okay, so the motion passes by a vote of 5-2. All right, we're going to recess this meeting for 5 minutes, and then we will take up our next item. We're in recess until 4:35.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry guys, it's a 30-second delay. They're already out, and they already passed it. They passed it to the state. They passed it?
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry guys, but it's a 30-second delay. And they passed. What happened? They passed it to this? No, they did, or yeah, they passed it. Yep, exactly. It's all about money. Unacceptable, guys. Unacceptable. I believe it is going to the state. So yeah, it was a 30-second delay, guys, and they're saying that it did pass and that it's going to the state. But it's just funny how it's crazy. It's crazy. So all the American people show up and show support. What happened, man? Yeah, they passed it, right? Going to the state?
It was a no for like 4 out of 7.
Yeah, I was watching it all. It was all good, and then they're trying to play both sides, I think. And it's all about money.
When I'm on your side, but I can see like which ones he shook hands with, which is good. We
Yeah,
need
right.
people on our side.
Right.
But then I can tell which ones are definitely
Yeah.
other guys' pockets.
Yep. 100%.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, man. God bless you, buddy. Yes, sir. You too, man. Yeah, Jim Tom. What is it? Jim Tom. Sorry about that. Jim. Yeah, it's pretty sad, and thanks so much. And that's what it is. I mean, what can we say? What can we do? I mean, it's all about that bread, you know? If you have money, you can basically put a lot of shit to the halt. And it's sad. It's just sad to see that. But they're basically saying that they want it to go to the state and have the state say something about it, and then bring it back. Like, they had the audacity to stop it right away. Right here, they could have stopped it, but it makes no sense how they say they have no control when actually they do have control. I mean, they should. Sorry earlier about the phone and stuff.
Because honestly, today, if we weren't here, the racetrack probably would have never been brought up. And now, every single commissioner has on the record said they have to do something to protect us. So, we made a huge difference. We made a difference. We might not have gotten the victory we were all here for, but we made a difference.
Parks were close to the track.
Yeah, we'll see what we can get. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, bless you. Yeah, again, guys. But yeah, he's doing his own little YouTube over there. He is on YouTube, guys, so it'll be cleetusmcfarland on YouTube. Go check him out. But yeah, that's what they're doing over there. You know, sometimes you have to pay to play, you know, so. What up, Polis? Yeah, the wind is definitely bad. 100%. Wind sucks. Christina, no. I don't think they, no. They don't have their race cars here. How you doing?
Hey, Victor. Hey, Vic. Vic. Let's take a photo real quick. Hey, George.
No, not mine.
I guess it's mine now.
Doing administrative work.
Thank you. Appreciate the effort. Hey, they saw us today. They said they're going to protect that track forever. We got to hold to it. Oh, yeah.
I will do it right there.
I got a ticket.
Right there.
What? Yeah. What's up, guys? What's going on? How is it going? What up, what up, what up? Let me fix my So guys, you know, hey, it's a loss. But how he looks at it is that they are going to protect the racetrack. So that's basically hear so say, when it just, you never know what possibly can happen. And it's pretty sad to see them basically say it's going to the state, but I'll protect the racetrack. Like, man, the government is what's really wrong with this country, and the money and the power and the elite, because right here just showed a community and a lot of people coming and standing in front and talking and saying, hey, you don't want to put a house next to a racetrack, and really sped their heart out. And those people on that podium felt it, okay? But knew deep down inside that they could not answer and say no due to the American people and the people itself. They said to pass it to the state because of money, greed, and they think that building more houses here will lower the economy and lower like stuff. Like what? Bringing more people here is going to make everything a demand. The demand will be so much and the prices will go so high. So it just showed me right here, guys, that the American people show up for something that they believe in, and the people here will still pass it to the state when all they had to say was, no, we're not passing it, and end it right then and there. But no, it's all about this, who has the most of it. What's up, buddy? And it's sad to see it. It's very sad to see this, guys. But you know what? All we can do is get stronger, come together, and try to take these people and be more. But it just sucks. Now, the way that Cletus just said it, well, they're here. They said they're going to protect us. And I really, really hope so. I really, really do. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a bummer when it goes to, I mean, listen, I lived in the state, but I'm telling you, it's corruption like a mofo. And when it goes to the state, I was thinking, okay, go to the state, all right, a racetrack, you know, giving some money in, but all those homes, and like, that's more money. And the state's gonna be like, nope, need more houses. You know, that small racetrack can be moved. No, it can't. It's been there for 50 years. It shut down, and 3 years ago, it just became a new, that's what happened to Freedom Factory and Bradenton Speedway, okay? Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's blinking crazy. And I really hope that this can show a little bit of light, that the people came out and they still said no. So we got to bring bigger numbers, man. We need to bring bigger numbers, start making some noise, peacefully, and how they call it, civilly? Yeah, civilly. Civilly. But anyways, guys, much love to all you. Thank you so much for coming into White Cost America TV. I mean, wow, I just said White Cost America TV. Well, it's not TV, just White Cost America. We go around. If you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. We go all around the state of Florida, and we all hit up all different types of things. Now, coming here and seeing the heart and the soul of the American people coming together as a unity. I promise you, we will be going to the Freedom Factory and watching some races, and we're gonna go live and do that. And 100% to all of you. And again, if you have not liked this this video right here, hit that like button. If you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And also, if you have not been to the webpage, go over to whitecrossmerica.com. Go check it out. That thing is awesome. It has prior videos of what we've all accomplished, White Cross America, and many more videos to come. God bless you guys, and you guys have a wonderful Thursday afternoon. White Cross America is out. Y'all take care. God bless. White Cross America.